Okay. Now, how to make this work? Black magic device. Oh, we're going. It's gonna work. Oh my god. Edit post. Here we go. Schedule. Cool. Edit. I don't need to schedule it. I want you to publish it. Publish now. There. Okay. I think this works. All right. One watching. I think that's me. Right. Let's see how this goes. Gotta check my inputs. We'll be right back. That's my new phrase. We will be right back. I can't I can't tell if this is working or not. Please work. Oh, no, it says it's working. Tell if this is working or not. Yeah, it's going. Wow, okay. Well, that means I just have to get ready and also see if I can make my thing work. Three watch. Oh my god. Wow, hi. I'm just making my camera work. It's very difficult and confusing. I've got to lean all around the side of my computer to get it to work. Hello, Theo, Perrin, and Mallow. Computer. Phone torch to the rescue. Okay. There we go. The question is, did that do anything? This is me setting up. Right. Oh. Okay, now this theoretically will work better now. Ah! It works, kind of. It kind of works. Okay, great. Now, a bit of. It's not meant to be in that little window. What's going on there then? Also, it's like slightly lagging behind in a way that's just a little bit annoying. Okay, what am I going to do about this then? Hello? That's not meant to happen. Let's do it. Let's try again. Add video capture device. No, not Elgato helper device. The other one. That one. Video. And 7 people are watching this. How's it going, friends? Configure video. What? What is this? Add black magic device. There we go. This is the one that works. Sometimes. Sometimes it works. Oh. And now it doesn't. One of the beautiful things about webcams, using a proper camera as a webcam, is that sometimes it just can't be bothered. Sometimes it's just taking the piss, honestly. I'm just going to turn everything off and on again. We're still waiting for people to arrive, so this is, this isn't the actual stream. This is the pretend stream. So none of you can complain. I have a feeling that this will work if I restart the stream, but I also don't want to do that. Oh, this one just works. What's going on there? Alright, fuck it, copy. Here we go. Okay, copy, paste. There. I just copied and pasted it from a place where it works, apparently. Now, you might have noticed all these things on the side. I can fix that, though. Watch this. Gone. Ah! There we go, now. You might notice that I look all sweaty. That's because I am. That's because I live in a place where it's very warm right now. Britain, for the first time ever, has decided to just be really warm all the time. And it's piss. How do I make this? Is this... Did anyone catch what f-stop we were at? There we go. I can be out of focus half the time, but sometimes I can look really bright. There we go. What's that? How's it going? Great. So. I've got the Gremlins theme stuck in my head. I was watching Sean stream Hitman earlier, and he, I don't know, just makes me think about the Gremlins theme. And also Gremlins is in this video, so I've just been thinking about it a lot lately. Add display capture. There we go. Look at that. Look at them all. Look at all the bits. This is good stuff. Look at my bins. You can find all the copyrighted music I stole. Great stuff. Now, gosh, I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer, see if a few more people turn up, and then we'll be golden. So just one sec. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and just check some stuff out. One sec. Okay, in the words of Jonathan Diehard, welcome to the party, pal. This is the stream where I show off all of my hidden skills and talents, or pretend to have them. So, I hope you're all strapped in. I've got everything set up properly. That'd be nice. I'm gonna get rid of my stream preview because it's really off-putting. I really don't like seeing my own face. How do I delete this? How do I get rid of the stream preview? I think I can only just move it to somewhere where I can't see it. That's not what I want. Okay, I know what I'll do. I'll pop the chat out, and then close my dashboard. But then I can't see how many people are watching. No, I just want to not see. I just want to not see my own face. No, I full screened it. Now Google's asking me if I want to save my password. Okay. Well, in any case, we're here, and it's done. So, there's 10 people watching. I'm gonna have to hope people watch this later, so this was worth doing. Maybe I should do this as a thing for like $5 patrons, and then the $10 thing should be something else. I don't know. It feels weird doing this for like 9 people, but oh, it went down. I lost a viewer. Someone couldn't be bothered. Oh God, this is so awkward and nervous. I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm just going to close this dashboard thing and not worry as much about it. Okay, so, hello, my name is Harris Palmer Guy. I make videos for the internet, but you already know that because you give me money to do it. So, this video, it took a really long time to make for a variety of reasons. The main one being that it started out as what is effectively a 2-minute preamble I was going to do. Originally, I've been working on a piece about Night in the Woods. Night in the Woods really resonated with me in a lot of different ways. And as I played through it, I realized this is not a Lovecraft adaptation per se, but it's doing things with the themes and ideas in that work that are very, very clever, and that it's what Lovecraft should have been doing, or was trying to do and failed, in my opinion. The way it relates, the sort of slightly sort of cosmic, supernatural aspects of Night in the Woods are all very, very personal. The things that May experiences in the game might not be real, but they feel real enough, and they're a manifestation of things that are real in her life. So when she talks to this god about, and God says, all of this is meaningless, and it's just life, and people are dying, and I can't do anything about it, and I don't understand why people pray to me. That's May's own feelings manifesting as this thing, and it got me thinking about how we relate to stories because they communicate some actual feelings that we have, all like stories of intense paranoia and people are out to get me are to do with our own actual, like, even if someone isn't, that feeling is very, very real, and especially for people in marginalized groups, like, people almost literally are, and even if they weren't, those feelings are, like, valid. Anyway, that's sort of where I came from with it, and then I thought, well, I need to talk about Cthulhu, which is this film that had this really sort of big impact on me growing up, but which I initially hated because I didn't get it. Like, it took me a while to reach the place where, hold on, I just want to make a note. Reading by Eric. Got to make that note. Like, at the time, I thought it was rubbish and didn't get what it was doing, and then over time, like, as I had my, adolescent sexual awakening or whatever, I was like, oh shit, this film is about all of these feelings that I'm having, and it's actually really helpful to me that I know something out there, like, knows it. There's this feeling of, like, this story empathizes with me, and that can be a really important and powerful feeling. So it turned out that it was a film I really liked, that I kind of, like, woke up and realized one day, and that was something that, like, I wanted to talk about as a lead into the Night in the Woods video. So I was like, well, I'm going to write out this, like, 2-minute bit. Here's a film I hated. Oh, and it turned out that when I realized I was bisexual, this stuff all tied into it perfectly. And then I was like, hang on, this is 30 minutes of video. This isn't a 2-minute preamble. What the fuck am I going to do about this? So it kind of became what it did as a result of me sort of biting off more than I can chew when I wanted to talk about this film. And also, the friend who I played through Night in the Woods with, when I said I kind of want to talk about this other film, he was very annoyed. He was very much like, well, you can't just talk about H.P. Lovecraft and this other thing and compare it to this game that you've not finished playing yet. That would be, you know, dishonest. So they were very annoyed. So in a way, this is me satisfying them by it being a completely separate thing. It is so hot in here. Forgive me, I'm not wearing anything. I'm not wearing a shirt. I'm just wearing my gown, which is also very, very hot and too hot. But I don't want to just wear like a vest or something. So that's where the video came from, and I made a lot of different drafts of this. I've been working on it for like months and months and months. My friends like Crystal and Shannon and Cav P and Eric Taxon, who did voice lines for this, came in and like read a version of the script that's completely different, and it's and then they read this one as well. Like, it's really, I've kind of owed people a lot for this. This has been a really hard thing to write because, like, I'm not particularly open about being bi. In fact, I kind of present as straight on purpose, because I feel like if people see me as like neutral or something, I can like impress ideas on people easier. I see a lot of people who are more out than me, and they have a lot more trouble talking about the issues because they're experienced as someone who feels those things. So this was effectively me coming out in a video, and that's something that like I wanted to get right. So it took a lot of time to think about how to present that. I've also joked about being straight, and one of the things that I have sort of a lie that I've told myself to let myself continue as I have, is I've basically told myself, like, me am a bi cis male, but Harris Bomber Guy, the persona, is a straight cis guy who is terrified of sex but thinks he wants it. And that's like, in my like compartmentalize, in my whole, I'm playing a character who is my sort of worst traits exaggerated, like in a lot of different ways. But I don't know, that's one of those things that, like, as I become increasingly online, the harder it becomes to sort of not always just be me, and the harder it becomes to sort of give the excuse of, well, it's a persona, because I am that person all the time in a lot of senses now, so I can't really get away with that. So there's like stuff in like in the Dark Souls 2 video, I'm like really mean to some people in a way that I thought was a funny joke, because I thought, isn't it funny how seriously this character is taking it? But a lot of people read that as, you were really mean to Matthew Matosis in that. And like, I felt like I'd pushed it to the point where it became an obviously a joke. Like, I call Kevin Van Ord a thought criminal and imply that I murdered him. Like, but it's still like really mean. And when enough people don't get the joke, it stops being the same, and it stops like really working. And also, I'm kind of done with being over the top to get across that I don't mean something. I'm now at the place where maybe I should just genuinely say how I feel about the issue and be nice to people. Maybe that would be refreshing. So I've definitely hit the point where I have to cross the line between persona and me and just say, well, this is who I am and how I feel about these issues, and and I'm bi. Hello, I have to. The time has come for me to just say that. So this became a project where, like, I had to strike a balance between how personal do I want to get with this, because it has to be to make the points that I'm making, and I can't talk about how secretly progressive Lovecraft stories are without also throwing my hat in the ring and saying, this applies to me as well, these are my feelings too. I can't just go, well, here's some people I've found. I have to bite the bullet and say, this is me. Hi. So there we go. That was sort of my process for this video. And I tried to strike a balance between sort of personal anecdotes and my own feelings, and why people might feel that way and other people who do, and stuff like that. And one thing that so I'm going to sort of, during the stream, I'm going to walk through some different ideas that I had for the project and dropped, and walk you through some of my outtakes. I might even put some stuff back in, because one of the things I did was I wrote quite a few jokes for this that I have then removed because I felt like they didn't serve the tone. So that's something that we're going to hopefully look at. And the thing that I do with a lot of my videos when I make them is I write a lot of bits that like I'm not sure about, or that I think I'm going to put in at the time and then change my mind about, and then get to the point where I'm sort of figuring out the pacing of it and the length and what I'm comfortable with, and then I realize what bits actually secretly don't work, but I don't want to just delete them. I did all of that work, so I cut them out and I put them in this like outtakes section. So I'm going to walk through a couple of these in a bit, but yeah, so that was the impetus, and this was the video that came out. You've seen this. This is the version that's like very few changes. I'm going to make some changes over the course of the stream and show my process, and then make a couple of last ones that are just tedious, busy work, like making sure the credits are there properly and going through the list of patrons' names and like making the text nice and stuff like that. That's like busy work, and then I'll hopefully have this up for everyone to see tomorrow. Finally. So yeah, is just a small piece of a video about Night in the Woods that broke off and became this monster that was really important to me. And so if any of you watching have like things that you want me to change, now is the time to suggest them, because I'm here, I'm reading the chat, and there's not that many of you, so it's not like I'm going to miss it. And now I have to justify all of my choices and walk people through those things. And maybe hopefully teach people some editing tricks, maybe a couple, I don't really know. I'm not an expert editor by any sense of the word, but I've got enough changes to make that I feel like I'm demonstrating some parts of the process. So yeah, that's kind of my preamble over. So I guess my first thing that I want to talk about is the basic process. Like after I've got the script finished, and the script I have here, with a tentative name that I wasn't sure of yet, and also Lindsay Ellis has just put out a video called Queering Michael Bay, so I can't call my video Outsiders the Queering of H.P. Lovecraft because it feels like a rip-off. She also just made a video that has Shape of Water stuff in it, so I'm treading water here in one version of this. Actually, in the voiceover, I recorded lines saying, hey, check out Lindsay's video, it's similar and approaches this, and then I cut it out because I was like, well, I need to try and not be 40 minutes here. So this is the script, and like I can even probably just go like, here we go, Lindsay Ellis. Lindsay also did a voice line in it, so, you know, I have conferred with her about this to some degree. I've just got some coffee with almond milk. It's not. Which version of Premiere do you use? This is Premiere to 2018. I've just started using it. This is the first full project I've used 2018 with. And it's fine, but it has a bunch of weird random problems. Like, for example, I'm gonna like this. Actually, that's okay. Like, no, don't. That's not even what I wanted at all. Okay, when you double click on an object, you can see this bar appears, and I can do that with it, right? Sometimes it just doesn't. It doesn't appear, and then it actually selects the thing underneath, but the bar doesn't appear for that either. It just doesn't do it. It's got all kinds of just weird bugs right now. Also, a thing that really annoys me, when I scroll my scroll wheel, you can't do anything else for 1 second for some reason. Watch. That was me hitting play. Like this, like, it takes like a full second before you can actually do anything, and that second is really annoying because that's like anything. Like, I can scroll and then I can't even select the timeline. I've got to stop. Like, and you use the scroll wheel quite often. So, yeah, 2018, it's not very good. It's got enough. Well, actually, 17 had that problem as well. 2017 also just stopped opening for a while. It was a huge thing. Shannon Strucci uses 2017 still, and I think she's probably right to use it. But 2018 has the text tool that fixes a lot of problems I had. Like, normally when you want to make a title in Premiere, you hit Control T, and then you have to like make a title properly and move stuff around in it, and it's still there and it's fine. But in this, like, you can just do this. You can just go text. I miswrote text as test there. You can just do that and it's there. It's like great, and you know, you can do stuff to it. You can go to the controls and you can just play around with it. It's great. And I'm just gonna, it disappeared. Basically, just got an error. A bug just happened, a low level. Basically, doing that with the text just then fucked with the, like, it almost broke Premiere just then. Premiere threatened to crash for a split second there, for a hot minute. So, there we go. Hi, Cobbleath, welcome. Eskuru says, you've not only made me want to put on the woods, but also watch that Cthulhu. Good job. Thank you. It's good. Originally, I wrote a thing that was like, it's not as good as I remember it, but it's not like great, but it just touched me, and that's more important than the writing and execution, and whatever, that's fine. But then I watched it again, in prep for this, after I was done writing the video, and I was like, actually, this writing's quite good. There's a lot of like good bits of writing in it. I forgot some of the best lines though. There are some really good lines, and I've forgotten all of them. Also, the version of the DVD that I have for this movie has the commentary track, which is, I actually have a clip of it that I was going to use, and that's one of the things I cut out, which I'm going to show you at some point. For those of you who want to become editors, though, speaking of editing advice, I highly recommend you get one of these. This is called a Shuttle Pro. I keep it next to my keyboard like a second mouse, and what this does is things like you can advance frame by frame through footage, just like that. Or you can jog through it, and there's buttons that you can assign and stuff. So I've got it to like play forwards and fast forwards, and also go backwards, and that's fun. And you can just jog back and forth between things. So, you know, here's the credits of Gremlins. Hold on. Yeah, you can do that. You can have tons of fun with this piece of kit. So is the movie not considered good because it's a bad adaptation, or are there severe issues with the film itself? There are some issues with the film itself, but also, Anthony, the entire point of this video is to explore the question of what a good adaptation is, and I think the answer is it's good because it's not faithful to the things that it doesn't need to be faithful to, and it turns out that adaptation is a complex thing. It turns out it's complicated. That's what a great way of boiling down 30 minutes of your life you spent watching this. How long is the video again? Yeah, 31 minutes. Jesus. So, yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so I've got the script that I've shown you, that I've gone through, and I've got to close my. I'm going to close my accounts. I was doing my taxes this morning. That's embarrassing. Okay, so got the script, got my notes, record the whole thing, and what that looks like, I'm going to quickly show off my project files. Ooh, this is embarrassing. Voiceover. ENVO1. Bam. When I make a video, my voiceover looks like this. That's a lot of voiceover, but also I think there's more. Oh, that's right. Here's a first pass that I also did that is just like... So there, I did... What is that? Almost an hour and a half of voiceover for this. And that was just like the stuff that made it through the script, so there's just tons of stuff. And then I deleted all of this in the end. And also, I developed a different philosophy of sound, which is something that I'm going to go into in a sec. So that's what my video looks like at some point, and then I go through it all, and then I find bits that I want to cut out and bad takes and stuff, and then I delete those bits. You know, you just do that. A lot of my life is that, you know. You see, it's just that, you know, I fucked up the take, so I just go, boop, it's gone. Another thing that I spend a lot of time doing, let's open Audition. My water bottle's in the way of the Audition logo. Let's go. You know, oh, that's just a very short piece, so that doesn't really work for this. Oh, here's pigfucking.wave, which is an entire thing I decided to take out in the end, where I just rant about politics for a while, and it's like 3-4 minutes. I'm like, I've got to cut all this out. This is just about me hating David Cameron, basically. Another thing that I do is a lot of, you see these bits here, these spots. These are mouth clicks. Oh, that's actually just, you know, typing or something. But a lot of the, like, when you begin to say a word, or when you end a word, and it's called pig fucking because the G is a big thing. Like, pig fucking. You hear that? That little thing at the end? That frustrates the hell out of me. Like, I can hear it. It's unprofessional. I don't like it. But you can see it. You can see it in the word. You can see it in, like, the sound wave. You can see this moment of, like, this vertical line of, that's a weird clicky noise that doesn't sound good. And because I'm just completely obsessed with this, I will find bits that are slight aberrations, and this could be like minuscule things, like less than a frame of video footage. This sound exists, and I will go through and I'll manually remove it from the rest of the sound. Not delete it, I will remove just those bits. Like Audition has a brush tool that just lets you, like, which one is the helium brush? Yeah, you can literally just paint out sounds you don't like. And, like, I've manually painted out so many weird clicky noises. That's what I've become. This is the person I am now. So that is something. That's a huge part of the process. Is, like, getting obsessive about your noises and sounds you make and the sound quality. That's a huge part of the process. So I do that for hours. I edit the thing until it's a finished thing, and then I listen to it and go, well, what is this? Because with a script, it's like you've written an essay, and an essay can be long and reiterate things, and it works because you can scan it with your eyes, you can read it as fast as you want, and the pacing sort of writing can work that in a way that doesn't work as a voiceover, because when you reiterate something that you've taken time and pace out of someone's life to say, saying it again or reiterating it becomes another use of time that you might not want to do. So there's a lot of times I've reiterated the same couple of things over and over in this video. A lot of the notes on the script that I even got were like, you say this a lot, take this out, or say it differently this time. And it's even worse when it comes to be a voiceover, because you can't listen to something at your own pace. You can't read something, like with text, you can read it in any order as well. So you can refer to things. You can go, this is what he's calling back to, all of that. You can link to other things. Like, an essay, especially online, is a very powerful thing, and voiceover is just as powerful, but in very, very different ways. And when a person, basically, if you write 30 seconds of voiceover, people are sitting there for 30 seconds, or 15 if they're watching it at 2 times speed, which I highly recommend with some videos. And when you've got that is time you're taking from the person, so it's much more easy to bore people, or to waste people's time, or to say something that doesn't need to be said because you made sure they spent 15 seconds hearing it the first time. It's very different from writing, where you can reiterate and people might need that in their heads, because you can scan words so quickly and then not get it. You know, it's sort of in text form, you force people to take their time in ways that you can't do in videos in the same way, because you already are doing that. That's my sort of philosophy, at least when it comes to editing. I'm not saying it in words particularly properly. Another thing that you do with your voiceover partway through is you realize that you haven't done any editing. You realize that you need to master your audio. So let's go in and let's go find, you know, NVO2. So this is a raw voiceover track, and you'll see it's very quiet. I record my audio at this, like, specific setting where there's the least possible noise and the least possible, like, distortion, but also a little bit of distortion. I use a preamp that sort of adds a certain kind of tone to the sound that makes it good. Anyway, so that's the sound. It's a bit too quiet for, like, normal listening. There's that. I'm going to quickly, just for the sake of making my points, make a new file and put this in. So this peaks at around, like, most of the time it's like -16, which is quite quiet. I think I'm quieter now on the stream, but you can turn it up. It's fine. I could turn myself up a little bit, but I've chosen not to, and at this point, if I turn it up, it'll be weird. Whatever. So, this isn't loud enough. So you can just do this. You can go favorites, normalize to -3. Bam. Now, the loudest bit has been made so that, like, the loudest bit is now -3, and I think that's there. So this thing is now -3. Like, that's the loudest it's going to be. And it makes everything louder until the loudest thing is that loud, and then that's it. That's what normalizing audio is, basically. But the thing about that is, your loud parts might be a lot louder than your quiet parts. Like this bit, that's still negative, you know, -26, -18. Like that's still nothing. So you've effectively made the problem worse because now people like it's loud in these bits, but these bits are quiet. Problem. So what you do here is compression. Now, compression can be done a variety of different ways. You have your standard compressor where you just go, make everything -14, bam, and then everything is this right thing. But it doesn't simply make it quieter. It makes it quieter in a way that enhances the perceived loudness of the sound. The intensity of the sound changes. You can notice that there's this spectral thing here. This, like, it alters the quality of the sound. Like, a waveform isn't quite a measure of loudness. It's a measure of a certain kind of loudness, and then this is a certain other kind where, like, the brightness of this is how loud that sound is. And they're both different measurements of the same thing, but they're very different. So a waveform, you can peak with a very, like, tinny or quiet voice, or a clicking sound that doesn't sound that loud. And you can be screaming and have it be this loud and sound really loud. You know, like the perceived loudness is a very weird thing. The human ear is very messed up and a whole thing, and just I don't even want to go into it. Books have been written on this subject. You're not hearing anything from the program? Oh dear, I've messed this up. Hold on. Oh, I know why that is. This might crash everything. I do have to apologize. I have to mess with my audio hardware. MME. Yes, continue. Now, how does this sound? There's not really much to see. There we go. I'm going to set this as loud as... Not really much to... There we go. I'm sorry about this. So here's the original audio file I was talking about before. Here is the audio pre-edit. When the monsters do briefly appear, there's not really much to see. The story isn't really concerned with them. So, it's not very loud. But if we make it louder, we've now got some very loud parts. When the monsters do... And some still quiet parts. Much to see. So, and that's what compression can do for you. It allows you to do that. So the single band compressor is really useful. So you can go, here is the new loudest thing that I want to be in the track, and everything louder than that is compressed, where it's made quieter, but in a way where it retains an intensity that might still make it sound loud. So if you shout, it still sounds really loud, even though it's no longer all that loud. I'm just using the word loud a lot. There is a file in my computer that I want, and I'm not sure where it's gone. Anyway, so previously, because like I've just been going by ear and then gone, okay, this needs to be loud, like drag this up, drag this down, whatever. Like my old Fallout 3 video is just a nightmare of sliders where I've made everything louder just in hope for the best. It's awful. Then I started normalizing. So normalizing is just like, if I want to make this bit, like there's this bit that's quiet, and this bit that's loud and this bit that's quiet, right? So if I select this and hit G, it says peak amplitude -4.7 dB. That's the loudest it ever gets in that piece of sound. I can normalize the max peak to a certain place. So I can normalize it to, for example, -12, make it all quieter. And similarly, I can normalize the max peak of this to -12 as well. So now the loudest bit of this clip is the loudest bit in that clip. But what does that mean? You know, because if you normalize something that's very, very quiet, you introduce a lot of noise. If you normalize something very, very loud, you can, like, if you make something loud quiet, all the quiet things in that clip are made worse as well. So that can be real bad. Watch this. There, so it just made me going through some papers incredibly loud for no reason. What's this? There's basically nothing here, right? What's this? You know, 0 dB. It's just me breathing weirdly. That's just... Oh, hold on. I don't think you can hear this. You can't hear this. I fucked this up again. It's still using the other audio thing. Gotta change the audio hardware manually on both. MME. Bam. There. Okay. Fixed again. Now. You know, and that used to be that loud. I'm just very quietly making a noise. So, when you're doing audio, the question is, how do I get things to sound good? And the way I used to do it was I would just normalize everything to like -3, and then do all of my like EQ and aim for -3 all the time. So push things pretty high and compress it. So my loudest is -3 and my quietest is also -3, and people just, and the perceived loudness changes though, so people can still tell the difference in my sound. So that's the trick that it is in the Sherlock video. Like, there's times when I'm whispering and being very quiet, and there's times when I'm shouting, and they all work out to actually being the same waveform, but you can sense this kind of difference in the loudness of the speech. But my current thing that I do right now is I spoke to Lindsay Ellis and co about what I should actually be peaking at, because often I would actually go as high as like almost -1. 0 dB is clipping, which is where the sound is so loud you're losing information. So do briefly appear. There's not really much. That sound there, that's distortion that's introduced by it being too loud for the parameters of how sound should be in digital audio effectively. It's a bit more complex than that, but I don't want to go into it, and also I don't actually know it. I'm not very good at this. So I spoke to Lindsay Ellis and Dan Olsen about what do you peak at? What do you aim to do with voiceover? And they were always like, you should record so that your max sound is -12. So, you know, so it's this low. So if I hit record right now, hello, this is me talking. This is my normal speaking voice. That's as loud as I'm probably going to get in a normal conversation. Like, originally, when I was recording voiceover, I would be recording and it would look like that, where I would have it set so that the loudest I was would probably be peaking and it would be way too loud. Speaking voice. And I thought that was better, but actually you're introducing more noise and stuff because you've turned it up to the point where you're also risking clipping. And with modern audio stuff, if you record it even at this low end and you turn it up, like, hello, this is me talking, it still sounds pretty good. You can easily cancel this noise really, really easily. Watch. Beep, 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 gone. Hello, this is me talking. This is my normal speaking voice. That's as loud as I'm probably going to get. It's fine, you know. You don't need to worry about it. So, with this clip, instead of like doing all that stuff, you do that. And and with this piece especially, I sound very distant and quiet and weird, and I want it to be sort of more intimate and close. So the way that I would do that is I will normalize it to like -3, and then I would go effects, filter and EQ, parametric equalizer. Now, the setting I used to use is a setting that I got from Mike Russell. No, actually I didn't use this. Effects. I lied. Different thing. Dynamics processing. I would use. Where are you? I might not have this saved in this version of Audition because I have a new version. But effectively, I would do this. That. So now, all the louder, like, everything is a little bit louder. But the things that are really loud are a little bit. Basically, it kind of changes the amplitude of things. I'll show you. Apply. So, the monsters do. You can see a huge difference there, but the quieter parts aren't that much louder to see. So you can see those. You can see those things. You can see the difference, and the magic of the of dynamics processing is you can really mess with it. You can go, okay, bam. So now, all the really quiet parts are just gone. I'm going to make it even more extreme just to like demonstrate it even more effectively. Like, everything quieter than -30 is now gone. So you can take quiet parts and make them basically non-existent. This is an excellent way of cancelling out noise if you have a really noisy clip or something like that. If you can get the exact barrier between when you're talking or making a noise that's needed and when there's nothing happening, but there's still the noise of the background, you can just fix it. But also it means you can make your voice louder in a way where when you're talking, it just naturally equalizes it out, where when something's this loud, you don't make any changes to it or even make it quieter. Or when something's this loud, you make it louder. So it's a good way of equalizing. It's a kind of form of compression that's just to do with the dynamics of the waveform. And that's really clever. I used to use that. But what I use now is the parametric equalizer. And I used to use loudness maximizer, which is this, and just boost this up and up. And you can hear a difference already. Watch this. This is it without. When the monsters do briefly appear, there's not really much to... Versus turning it on. When the monsters do briefly appear, there's not really much. There's this crispness. You know, I've introduced more high end and more low end, so I sound a little bit bassier, and the high end sort of makes it a bit more noticeable. There's a certain richness to the tone that makes people go, oh, I can hear this better. And the high end is the part that a lot of people don't bother with. A lot of men who make YouTube videos go, I'm going to make my voice sound bassy and deep. Deep sounds don't travel as far. High end is how you really get people, how you really stick out of the in your sound mix. Having a good high end just makes you. It's really good. You know, there's a reason why a lot of like phones and stuff use women's voices. It's because they travel a short distance, but they're very audible in that short distance. It's very, very clever. So if you add that to your voice, it's very. That's the thing I used to do, at least, and that's. So I've used effectively these settings on almost everything I've done until like a month ago, basically. Just loudness maximizer, make everything crisp, fine, de-neutral my audio. What I use now is, which looked obscene when I first looked at it, but actually sounds amazing, is this, which I'm just going to show you the difference. When the monsters do briefly appear... versus this. You hear a lot of your own voice when you make videos like this. That's just life, I'm sorry. When the monsters do briefly appear, there's not really much to see. There's not really much to see. Like, that sounds really muddy when you compare it with... There's not really much to see. There's this just... It's very, very hard to hear just in a vacuum like this. But when you're listening to it over and over in complete quiet and you're not talking, it's just that. It just... You can hear a difference, and it's a big difference when there's music and sound and all that stuff just overlaid over it. It sticks out better. So I would do that. I also would do noise reduction. Pretend I did that first. I haven't done this yet, but imagine that. So it's that. And then I would go like, I'm going to actually make it even more normalized. -1. So this is the loudest. It's almost clipping. It's the loudest it can be without clipping. When the monsters... It's that. And now we'll just go, compress to -6. Bam. When the monsters do... So now I have what is kind of decent-ish audio. The quieter parts have been made loudish, because I've made everything else as loud as I possibly could at that point. And it's also compressed down, so it's fine. The story isn't really concerned with them. And that's... good compared to this. The story isn't really concerned with them. The story isn't really concerned with them. Sounds pretty good. You know, it sounds better than it did before, at least. Isn't really Now here's one of those mouth noises I talked about. So I'm going to just make this really loud to just point it out to you so you can hear how annoying it is. Listen to it. Isn't really real. It just, I sound like an idiot. Isn't really There's just this... I'm going to... Really? What is that? Really It's just this wet slapping noise. It's horrid. So you can go in with a brush and fix it. You know, you can just like really it's gone. It's gone, and you can do the same thing. Like this bit is clearly one of those. I have it bound to F, an auto heal button. Really concerned, and it just takes out that. It's just this. It turns out that the human mouth is meat slapping against itself. And just weird sounds you don't want happen, and when you want to sound good, that's what you do. Eskira asks, what kind of mic do you use? I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. I'm probably not. I'm sorry. I use a CAD E100S. And prior to that, I used this Rode NT2A, which is really, really nice as well. During the... Did I knock off my table? Oh, my giant bomb sticker. During the Sherlock video, I switched mics, and it was really good. Kyle Van Run says, I'm so stressed, I just made a video for work and the streamers give me so much more to dwell unnecessarily on about it. Well, let me give you some advice on the meat slapping problem. First of all, slapping. That's another noise that I hate and I have to fix. So that's... Thank you, Eskida. I'm glad I say your name properly. So that's another sound that I worry about a lot. Just everyone does it. If you're from Liverpool, just give up. You can never do voiceover. That's not true. That's unfair. But things to avoid: coffee with milk. Milk can be really bad. Soy milk. Anything sugary as well. Don't eat any red vines, which is a problem for me. I've got a huge box of red vines that I can't eat or touch. Drink lots of water. Eat apples is good for you, apparently. I've tried that. It seems okay. Drink a lot of water. Drink even more water than I said before. Just eat loads. And then also be willing to go in and do those granular edits. And maybe elocution lessons. I've never done those. It's fine. Also, only people with an auditory processing disorders will really notice. For some people, those noises are a huge problem. I've had eating noises in videos where people have got in touch and said, this, like, really made me uncomfortable. And, like, that's a thing. But also, only, like, purists like me will notice this. And that's just not... This is how obsessive I am, right? There's a YouTuber who talked about his dual monitor videos. This best way...
I get asked a lot on how I should set up my...
It's this weird popping noise, and like all of this guy specifically's videos about his monitor setup, they always open with this like a horrible noise that makes me want to stop watching the video immediately. It keeps happening, and that's my fault. That's me. I did this to myself. No one should do that. So in a way, you shouldn't be as big a purist as me, but it's just part of the process of like, when you want to make the best thing possible, you get obsessed with every tiny aspect and you hope you're on to the bits that are worth getting right, and you slowly whittle down, okay, this wasn't worth paying attention to, this is, and you get there. If you have those mouth noises, and I still make them in videos, no one noticed when I didn't edit them out in earlier videos, so it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's my fault. This is a thing I have to work through, but that's it. And along the way, I have learned useful things about sound, like compression and stuff. Vico Elo, I will make sure your name is in the credits. Thank you for the comment. So that's me. So I do all of that. I edit all of this, and then I make notes. I'm like, well, what goes where? So I have my bins, and I import the things that I kind of know from the script that I'll be using. So I have a big source folder full of stuff that I think I might use. I'm like, well, I want to talk about early films and like early art and ghosts and stuff. So I found this old Scrooge, this old Christmas Carol adaptation. I'm like, well, I can use this bit of this ghost. So I go through and find those clips and I put them in and I sort of arrange them. But for some things you need to do a bit more planning. For example, there's a bunch of live action clips in this that I did, like this. New words, like... For this, what I did was, I went through the video with like a sort of basic cut of all of my basic stuff where it's just clips from other films. And actually, when I watch through films that I'm not too familiar with, like with The Shape of Water, I go through and I make notes with time codes and things on them as I go. So you'll notice 33:45... I just wrote the words, happy smiley, food share. That's what I wrote. That's the note. So, if we go to The Shape of Water, if we go to 33:45, here we are. Look, everyone's happy. The movie happens just like I said it did. And then you can scroll through it frame by frame and make in and out points and, you know, just really waste everyone's time on your stream. You'll note for aesthetically pleasing, that's a cool interface. Thank you. I apologize to anyone with auditory processing issues. That's probably a horrible thing to do. I apologize. Anyway, the opening music is beautiful in this film, by the way. As soon as I saw this film, I was like, I've got to use this music in a video. And I did! I did! It's here! Shape of Water Audio.mp3. Oh, it's so beautiful. I fucking love this. That film's so good. It's so good. God! And yet Pacific Rim was awful. I don't like Pacific Rim for reasons that I should probably make a video about at some point. Anyway, so that's what I do with videos I don't know much about. With Cthulhu and with a lot of other films, I know them ins and outs. I know what footage I'm going to use already. And I just go. Like, the shots in Cthulhu of, like, sitting at the table sat in my mind for a decade. I knew them already. I could scroll through the film and find that shot easily because it's burned into my brain because I've done that. I've sat at a table next to family members who were like, so I've heard, you mentioned this thing, and it's just, once that's happened, you can't not see scenes. And I was picking my nose. Sorry. Once that happened, you will remember a scene from films where that happened just innately. You just remember them forever. The new one or the first Pacific Rim? The first one. I haven't seen the new one. I just didn't like it. For reasons that are like to do with my love of anime and robot stuff, and like specifically Go Nagai anime has a Pacific tone that it doesn't emulate. Instead, it's like, the commentary's like, I made this movie like, this isn't Guillermo del Toro's voice at all. I made this movie like a sports movie. It's French now. It's like a sports movie where it's the teams and the guy's the old coach, and he's like, why aren't you making it like a robot anime? This is the first big robot punch film since Robot Jocks, and you've made it about sport? Like, it just, that stuff really got to me. Even though I think Del Toro is a magnificent director and it's just a terrific human being, whatever, it's still, I don't like it. Anyway, despite all that, he's great. Shape of Water is so, so good, and I'm so happy that he made it. Anyway, the music got me thinking. Anyway, so then, when I've got all of that footage, I go, okay, well, now I've got to shoot these bits. Or now I've got a bunch of gaps that are like, something good has to go here that's not just more shots of the film with voiceover. I have to put in the work. I have to put in the effort to justify the fact that so many people watch my stuff now. And people give me money, by the way, thank you. It's like, I can't just go show clips of a film and talk. Like, I have to justify that. I have to put more time and effort in. So then I go through and make notes on what should go here. So like early on, I'm just like, well, I kind of know that I've got to use H.P. Lovecraft and show off some of his stuff. So I come up with that and I show cool things. And here's the thing that I was really like proud of when I did it, where I fade from the shadow out of time to the color out of space, and I transition, but I also slightly alter the width. You can see this here in my effects controls. I've ununiformed the scale so that the width changes at a different speed from the height. So it starts the same width as the thing and goes through. I'm sorry if that's a little bit louder than me. I'm going to turn this down now. I was very proud of that. So you do all that and you come up with things, and I'm kind of happy with this as well, where what I did was I took an old the cover of an old copy of Weird Tales, zoomed really into it, and then added in a bunch of different added a blur to it, color corrector, effects. I think I turned the blur off, or I forget what I did to it. I've already messed up this file probably, and then I made it so that it slowly zooms in and also the colors shift slowly over time, and then I just plopped that in the project, and it just kind of goes at its own speed, and that's just kind of happening while all this stuff happens. What's your favorite Lovecraft story other than Mountains Madness and Call of Cthulhu? The Outsider is really, really incredible. Just great. I love it. What else? Call of Cthulhu is good. Oh, you already said that. Shadow of Innsmouth is good. Manda's Madness is good. It's hard to talk about specifics because I've read all of them, and I've read a lot of stuff to do with, like, about Lovecraft or things he wrote, or notes and essays and letters. And at this point, I'm beyond the place where Whisper in Darkness is excellent as well. I'm beyond the place where I can't have, like, my interest in Lovecraft is now academic in such a way that I can't read them for pleasure the way I used to, which is a thing. So yeah. So once I've done that and I've kind of have an idea of which bits are like, here's where a diagram has to go in, here's where I have to do some animation, here's where I have to do a thing with visuals, or even just have a Gaussian blur come in and have some text come in. You know, that happens a lot. You do that. Once you figured out those bits and what has to go there, you go, well, here's some bits where I can put some live action footage in here. So at some point there was a version of this project with a bunch of gaps in it where all my footage isn't, where there was no footage here, like where this wasn't happening because I hadn't shot it. So here at 55 seconds in, I've written, 50 to 105, find the words Theosophists, non-Euclidean, and chromatic perversion in your copies of the book. Just go through. So basically I made notes for where everything should be and what I should shoot, and then I took these notes into my garage with a bunch of props and I filmed them. And that's how I did those bits. And for the live action bits that are me talking to the camera, I went out into the woods with the camera and printed off the bits that I thought I could do readings of in the script, and just kind of went and did them. And I shot this like intentionally, like really dark, so it's like really noisy and bad, but it's night, so it kind of has to look like that. I wouldn't normally be happy with this level of noise in my video, but I did mess around with noise reduction, but it's just fine. I'm just going to leave it. And then you do that. So then you go through. So in my bin, I have my video, and my video is all the things I've shot that are vaguely relevant to the video. So here is me talking for 25 minutes, doing this take. Here is me in a different part of the woods for another 7 minutes, talking about other stuff. And it's just me talking, it's just me doing stuff. And then I've got the audio in here, all the audio I did, and all of the times I've extracted it to like make more adjustments to it and stuff. I don't bother with like mouth pops and stuff with its live action audio because you can see my mouth. It's fine, but I sometimes need to like compress it or louden certain bits and stuff, or do noise reduction. And then for this one, I was like, I want to get into some shots of the countryside. I'm talking about this issue, and I want the attention to be on what I'm talking about and not just the film. So I went out and I filmed just a bunch of stuff. Let me show like an example. So this thing, for example, I actually went out in the early evening, and when it was so hot so recently, so it's just I got burned a little bit. You can see a burn. You can see where my shirt was when I went out to film this stuff. And then I colored it darker because I wanted these shots to look nice and there would be noise otherwise. So it was better to start from a place where it was bright and fine and then work it down. So all of these shots are like during the day, and then I've corrected them later by having some fun with my tangent ripple, which is a little board I've got over here with like some dials and balls, and you mess around with them and that affects the color. So that's what all these are. I'm sorry, they're not actually set at the night. This was just me messing around and having a good time. And the day, like that. So it's all lies, but I'm a fan of some of the adjustments I made there. We're just load the curves a little bit, and using my thing I might show you in a bit, I just move the shadows and midtones around. So that was it. So that was that. And I made some general notes of some things around where I live that I thought would make for good footage. So and then I just went out and filmed them. I just went out for an afternoon, waiting for the sun to go down, which it didn't, and filmed a bunch of stuff near where I live that I thought would make for good shots, and just went through and picked out the bits that did or didn't, and then that was it. I filmed these at 60 FPS and then conformed them later to 24, so there's this sort of pleasing slowness to it, where I like this bit where the bee came in while I was adjusting the lens. So that's actually, this went by much faster in real life, but You know, it went by actually something like, you know, it was a B, so it went by like at least that fast. You know, it was a fucking B. Bees move very quickly, as you might know, if they want to. And then for the ones that are shots in my garage of books and stuff, or of like the disc, media pending. I found my disc, I put it in, and then just put it in. I just got a bunch of pickup shots of stuff, basically, and then put them in. And then later, when I had all of the footage, I knew exactly where to put it. So I effectively got in, copied the stuff in, got all of my audio and video, and went, now where do I put it? And I just followed my own instructions. So 2220, The Outsider. So at 2220, I have a... this is a different thing. I made more edits to it, so it probably comes in later now. I've probably cut out a bunch of stuff. But, you know, at some point, in this version at least, there was a place where I put in a clip from The Outsider somewhere. I don't remember where it... Oh, here we are, yeah. It's actually, like, nearby, yeah. So I just went in and filmed that. So this is... What is that? 10.mts? So 10 is... just a bunch of shots of stuff from the books that I thought was good. So there's one of the... that's actually from Dagon. The short story Dagon, which... Presumably those are the deep ones, which are in Shadow of Innsmouth as well, and they worship Dagon. Kyle says, I have to commute home for 40 minutes now. Glad I got to see a bit anyway. Thanks for streaming this process for us. Thanks, Kyle. This will be up on YouTube unlisted for people later, so hopefully you can see the rest of the stuff. And also look at how many times I blink. Funny. I get really nervous sometimes, and I blink twice in quick succession instead of once. And I don't know why I do that. Actually, I do know why I do that. I wear contact lenses, and I'm supposed to not wear them for like more than 8 hours, and I just wear them all the time. And I take them out at night because I don't care, and I like being able to see, and I don't like glasses because they're messing with my headphones. So I just do that, and then I put all that stuff in, and that's kind of it. And then it's just a matter of continuing to make adjustments and stuff like that. And if there's anything in particular you want shown off, just ask, and I'll look into it. What else is there that's good to talk about? Other parts of the process. Well, something I kind of want to talk about. I need to go to the bathroom one sec, but I'll talk about it after that, I guess. Sorry about this, by the way. Boop. Boop. Okay, I'm back. Hey, so something that I took out, I'm going to go into my outtakes now. Something that I took out is a really long segment where I just talked about how meaningful a piece of art was related to Lovecraft. And if I can find my Lovecraft book, I can show it to you. There it is. In The Color Out of Space, which is the book that the quote about chromatic perversion is in there. The blood roots grow insolent. It's just here. Yeah, it's this page. This is this one. A couple of pages prior, there's this drawing that like is when I first saw it, it was incredibly meaningful to me, and I spent like, as you can see in the video, like a full 2.5 minutes just talking about this one piece of artwork and why it's good. It's like kind of beautiful, painterly illustration of some flowers where something's clearly wrong with them, and everything around them in the field is either empty or just scratches. Like the world is falling apart, and like it really struck me as this kind of profound thing as a kid. Like we're all gonna die, and those flowers are dying, but they're beautiful for now. And there's just like this. I had this kind of existential awakening looking at this picture. And that book was published like 11 years ago now. So I actually own the original artwork of that picture now. It's in a tube. It just arrived. Les Edwards, the artist, still had it on his website, so I bought it. So now I have to find a frame for it, and I just have that. And anyway, that line about chromatic perversion in the video, that's what that picture is based on. That's the quote that he looked at and went, well, here's the thing I have to make a painting about. And that's so, like, this bit in my outtakes that is called book bit is just me ranting about this beautiful piece of art that's just a black and white drawing for 3-4 minutes. So I get really like melodramatic in a way that's like, why did I write this? This is like a bit much, I'm embarrassed by it in a way. So it's something I might not put in because I'm not happy with what the visuals would be for it, and it's a full 2 minutes of me talking about this painting, so whatever. But that's one thing I've wrote and then cut out, but which is obviously really meaningful to me, and I own this painting now, so whatever. There's also another thing I cut out is the historical context of some of the things Lovecraft was writing about. Historically, Lovecraft's writing emerged in a period of relative progress and discovery. The scientific method was leading to ever-increasing invention and development and newfound access to incredible knowledge. By the way, imagine that I made really good visuals for this. I never bothered because I knew I wasn't going to use it, so I didn't bother even making it before I knowledge about the world and our place within it. Lovecraft was born only 8 years after the death of Charles Darwin, one of the most notable contributors to science of all time. But this comes at a downside, a fear of what we might discover and of the impact it might have on us as people. For example, the scientific naturalism favoured by recently presented theories like that of evolution risked leading people away from more theistic explanations for our world, which threatened the significance of religion in daily life. To regrettably quote Richard Dawkins for a moment, Darwin made it possible to be an intellectually fulfilled atheist. One of the reasons I cut this out was like, should I be quoting Richard Dawkins here? Even if I make fun of it, I'm still doing it. Why, this is a full minute and a half of the video, and all I'm really saying is Lovecraft stuff made sense because people were discovering shit that was weird. So in the end, I just basically wrote a short connector in between bits where I just said that instead of writing all of this. So that was what that was all. But there's one other bit that I was really happy with, where I wrote, when I was talking about the horror films, I was like, horror films are usually kind of ridiculous, but they say something, and I wrote this bit that was, I immediately knew there's the bit where Julius's head gets punched off in Friday the 13th 8, where his head flies off and lands in a bin, and I immediately thought of that, and then I kind of just went off the cuff when I was doing the voiceover, and decided to cut it together into a joke that I've made this into. So here we go. The slasher films are silly, gross, gory, and often just kind of bad, but they got popular because they're dealing with something that's real and actually happening. Okay, that's not actually happening in real life, but that's from like part 8 of a franchise, and you don't get 7 sequels without at least originally having some resonating cultural... he punches his head into a bin. You get a perspective shot of it. It's like you're looking out of his head as it flies off. So, like, that's quite funny, but like, first of all, it's a bit nostalgia criticky where you just point out the funny thing that happened and go, oh, look at it. But it also doesn't go well with the tone. I'm talking about the nature of art and truth, and I'm talking, I come out as bi in this video. Is this a place for this joke? That's sort of going through my head at all times. So I wrote a ton of little things like this and ad-libbed some stuff, and you have to choose between having as many jokes as possible and being as funny as possible, and what's appropriate for the tone. Do you want the video to be an hour long because you didn't cut out any of the jokes or asides? I fought really hard with myself to keep in the aside where I talk about 50 Shades of Grey in the video, and I keep almost taking it out, and I decided to keep it in the last second because, like, well, it's a relevant point. It's fine. And it's also funny because it sort of pushes the thing far enough that I get to joke about how far I'm pushing it, and that kind of works. With this, I thought, this is funny, but it doesn't fit, because this is going to a place where I'm talking about, like, the concepts of, like, truth and what Werner Herzog would call ecstatic truth. And that's not the place to make fun of the Julius head punch off scene from Halloween, from Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. So that's one of the many things that I cut out. One of the next things I also cut out, which I don't have an outtake of because I deleted it and then didn't copy it somewhere else because I was like, I definitely don't need this bit. In fact, I'm embarrassing that I put this much effort into it, so I'm just going to pretend I didn't make it, but I'm going to show that I have the source footage for it. I made a thing out of Werner Herzog talking about deeper truth. He talks about there's a difference between truth and facts. With the facts, you just get the accountant's version of the truth, and with art, you get this ecstatic truth where there's some meaning there that's, even if you've written something that's fictional, you're communicating an idea that's more real than often the facts will give you. This sort of beautiful idea. And I cut all this in, and I put in another quote from him that was relevant, and then was like, this is a long stretch where you're listening to a guy talk about truth, and it kind of just segues into it without any kind of justification. It's just, let me tell you about something Werner Herzog said that was good, and it just didn't work. So I cut that out as well, because it didn't quite connect. But that's another thing that I did, and I think that a lot of the stuff Werner Herzog says is really, really cool. I like Werner Herzog's stuff. Like, the way he talks about truth is very interesting, and it ties very well into my point, but not in a way where I needed it, and not in a way where it feels like it feeds in properly, so I just didn't bother in the end. I also... what's this bit? Implications of his approach. The typical racist or... oh, this is the part where I didn't even label it, because I was like, maybe when I'm streaming I shouldn't even talk about this. But I also talk for so-and-so amount of time, and I was going to use clips from, like, Triumph of the Will and other shit, like, what's that film? Birth of a Nation? Whatever. I deleted those from the project. I was going to talk about how, like, this is like a full 2 minutes. I'm going to just sum it up, basically. Like, Lovecraft's... like, traditionally racism is this belief that society was good and can be made good again if we get rid of the bad people, and the bad people are immigrants or people of other races and so on. The place where Lovecraft differs, the place that, like, he goes a bit deeper than that. He says society's just bad, I hate everything, it's fucked. Society's already doomed, I just happen to also hate people of other races. And, like, that core, that nihilism, almost, is what differentiates him from, like, your bog standard racist, but, like, that wasn't worth talking about, so I cut all that out. In fact, I wrote this part additionally because I thought, well, I need to justify this a bit, I need to justify his racism a bit more, and then I wrote all that and thought, well, I don't need to go into this, and now I look like I'm defending him, and that's not what I want to do with this piece, because the guy fucking sucked, so I cut that out as well. And also, then you're showing clips of, like, what's effectively racist propaganda, and I cannot do that if I want to. So I do that. Another major thing I cut out was, I also use my outtakes project as a place for, like, this is a piece of art that kind of looks like the cover for Cthulhu, maybe do something with this. Or, here are some more covers of Weird Tales that I can do my effects to and make them look all nice if I need to. So I've just got a bunch of old copies of Weird Tales and stuff. Here's another bit that I was really happy with, and then was like, this is a good joke, but it doesn't really fit in the place that I want it to go. But here's what it was. You don't have to go find a copy of this 10-year-old obscure film if you don't want to. It's not perfect by any means, and lots of the criticism the film's received is valid. Even the director's commentary opens by admitting they aren't fully happy with the film.
There are 85 locations in this movie. Ridiculous.
It's certainly nowhere near as good as the best film ever, Gremlins 2. But it meant something to me and was very important to me in a formative period of my life, and sometimes that's kind of more important than the writing or execution. So, that bit was just me summing up with, like, this film's not the biggest deal in the world, it just meant something to me, and I liked getting in the joke about Gremlins 2. I'm a big fan of Gremlins 2. It is actually probably my favorite film. There's a great Twitter account called Gremlins 2 Studies that kind of pushes the reason why Gremlins 2 is good to its furthest conclusion by just studying it immensely, and that stuff's just great. So I just wanted to put that in, but that's not a good place for it. And do I need to talk about Gremlins 2 in this? Yeah, so I took that out as well. I could put that in the conclusion, because the way I wrote the conclusion has changed since I made that bit, but I might put it back in. And also it shows that I listened to the commentary track, and it's like an extra level of stuff, so that's a part I'm really considering putting back in. Let me know if you think I should. And also it's a joke that's kind of, you need a little bit of levity in this, otherwise it's just, you know, I don't like making being LGBT seem constantly dour and not fun. Anthony Peony says, I think you should put it in. I will then, thank you. I'll put that in. Like, I don't like making being LGBT seem like it's always a shit show, and it often is, but, like, it's fun. It's who... So like, putting jokes in kind of alleviates that, so that's something I want to try with. This is a quote that I decided not to use for another bit, where I've got, you know, a nice distorted cover, and I like the text as well. Yes, the Twitter is incredible, isn't it, Anthony? What is this video, anyway? Watching this video, I asked on Twitter for Oh yeah, a thing that I did a little while ago, you might remember, is I asked, hey, queer fans of Lovecraft, get in touch, let me know what you think and why. And I wrote a whole bit about, here's some of the people who got in touch with me and what they thought, here are some examples and how it ties into the stuff I've said, and here are some new things that I haven't thought of. And it was like another long stretch that wasn't necessary for the thesis of the video. It showed that I did my working in a way that, you know, made me feel like I'd bothered, and maybe makes me look good, but didn't really say anything. And whenever you talk about an issue, there's always the risk of coming off as like tokenizing, of going, I found someone who agrees with me and here's them. And I didn't want to be seen to be doing that, you know. I didn't want, you know, one thing that I didn't go into very much in the video is, like, Lovecraft's dislike of people of other ethnicities. There are people of color who like Lovecraft. They exist, but going out and finding them, or doing the Google search required to get that, felt illegitimate. It felt dishonest to go, I quickly Googled some people who like it to prove my point. That just didn't feel right. So instead I've just maybe awkwardly let it sit and said he was racist, and unrelatedly LGBT people I've started not saying that as a joke, I've started just saying that by accident now, like him anyway. And that's just, it's an awkward segue that I kind of have to deal with just with the way I've decided to talk about the material, and at this point it's inescapable. The Call of Cthulhu, and the main plot beats of Call were the responses you got from people like Lovecraft little blurbs or like direct quotes. I asked permission from the people who I wanted to use quotes from, and I just wanted to show the Twitter DMs. So I have like in my Lovecraft folder, I have a Lovecraft LGBT Lovecraft DMs folder where I'm just like, here's all of the DMs I wrote with people that seemed useful or interesting. I'm going to, yeah, so just people who've written something that's really like thoughtful, and proves my point, where people said, you know, it made me feel, it empathized with how I was feeling about the world, even though the guy would have hated it, but the point was good, and that's fine. And the thing about the tokenizing thing also, like, Lovecraft had gay friends, that was the thing I went back and forth on like, should I keep this in, because it does feel like I'm maybe like, I don't want to sugarcoat the fact that he was like a massive homophobe, as indeed most people were at the time. But at the same time, it's worth going into that the executor of his estate was gay, and like, that didn't happen for no reason. And that's just something that I felt like, in the end, I came down the side of keeping it in, because it felt like it showed the diligence that I did the research. I felt not bringing it up made me feel like I would look like I hadn't done enough research, basically, because that's a thing that people know about him. That's like, people who know as much about Lovecraft as me probably would have got in touch and gone, you could have said that, why didn't you? Or they'd have gone, you're an idiot, you don't know about this. And I didn't want either of those things to happen. So that's me going, hey, I know this happened. Please don't make it look like I'm just going, hey, I found a gay guy who knew Lovecraft, you know. So that's just, yeah. To other townspeople and even his yeah. And then there's this bit where it's just like, I'm just reiterating the feelings about Shadow over Innsmouth again. There's also a bit where I point out that Cthulhu is an adaptation of Shadow over Innsmouth. The Call of Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth game, which had a lengthy sequence in this about, but did cut, also is based largely on Shadow over Innsmouth for some reason, as well. So there's that. Anthony says, I feel like adding some acknowledgement of fans you've spoken to. It shows you've looked for opinions from real young queer people, and it's a good look from the community. That's a good point. I mean, maybe I should put something in the description, or maybe I should just mention it at some point, maybe during the credits. I think that's a really good point. Just say, hey, thanks for everyone I got in touch with, and maybe I should say thanks to people for in the credits as well, like in the text. I think that's a really good point. I should definitely do that. I'm going to write that down. Because that's a really good point. Another thing that's my friend Cav gave me notes on was there's a joke where I'm like, what's the phrase? I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on. I'm not dabbing. I'm just sneezing into my elbow. Fear of the unknown. He didn't know much about people of other races. Like that's a funny way of saying something that's quite serious in a way that, like, I'm kind of happy with how I play that off. However, my friend Cav got in touch to say, hey, when you say other races, that specific, like, that's not an accurate way of phrasing it. You might want to say ethnicities instead. And it's like, I then went back and forth in my head about, well, the way, like, races as a sort of like 2-syllable word sounds funnier than ethnicities. Like, it rolls in a way that becomes comedic when you say it a certain way, when you pace it and time it a certain way. And, like, it's funny because the terminology is, it's making the same point. Is Jewish a race? Well, that's another question. Like, the race doesn't actually exist in the way that we traditionally think about it. A very, very funny video that I'll never make is, like, when people say race isn't real, or race is real, when race realists say that, you just go, race isn't real. That's a really just funny response because it's also true. But it's also just, it's a funnier word to use, even though it's not completely accurate. And that's something that you have to sort of cross this line between, are you going to say the most accurate word, or are you going to say the thing that's funny and hope that people kind of get that you could have said the thing, but you said the one that sounds funnier? And that's something I have thought a lot about because, like, I don't want to make people uncomfortable. I don't want to sound like I don't give a shit about getting the words right. I just want to say the thing that sounds funny and hope people get that. And it's like, it's something I'm back and forth on. And I'm probably going to change it. I'm probably going to re-record that line to people of other ethnicities because it just fits better. And I'm just going to deal with the fact that it's a bit less funny because it's a serious topic. It doesn't need to play off as funny anyway. I think I have this, you can tell from this that I've written some jokes that I've thought, I don't want to add too much levity to this, but I've written some other ones that I've kept in because I've gone, well, I need to add some. And getting that balance is really hard. Like, when you make a video that's longer than 10 minutes, you have to start thinking about pacing and timing and stuff like that in ways that, like, making a long video isn't just making a video but more. It's making a video, but how do you hold people's attention that long properly? How do you make a thesis? And that's a skill that I've had to slowly, like, learn. That's why a lot of my long videos are in parts, because I've kind of then separated it out and given myself an easier job of it. So yeah, that was the last thing that I like went back and forth on that was worth talking about. We've been streaming for an hour and a half, but we haven't actually made any of the edits that I was going to make over the course of this video, so I'm going to do that now. So I'm just going to go through it, and in fact we're going to re-record some voiceover on the air, and then I'm going to edit it and put it in, and you're going to see it. It's going to be real work. One thing I do at the end is music. I add the music after I've done everything else, just overlay it. done. So now I'm doing the hard bit where I've got to make edits to something that has already been timed to music now. So I've got to fix that. And that's quite hard to do. So for example, there's a line in it where I say he had like a special amount of hatred for black people and Jews. And I want to change that to black and Jewish people, because it flows better and also is more accurate, and the phrase Jews has specific connotations that people have got in touch with me about to say, like, this isn't right. So I want to make sure I've got that done. I also basically just completely flub a line at 14:45 that I've got to recut. I'm going to just record a new take on and write, so we'll do that. But firstly, at 1:05, the VO is quieter than it should be. That's a note that I got from Shannon. Thank you, Shannon.
Non-Euclidean
You can see that it didn't play properly there. Like, it didn't play when it scrolled. That's the annoying thing about this.
or sentences like, the bloodroots grew insolent in their chromatic perversion, made me feel smart. I liked thinking I was smart. I was a big fan of the role-playing game too. I just really liked the way that it dealt with the mythos.
Yeah, so I can kind of see what she's getting at. I think it's this bit. This bit just...
It's really good too. And hang on, can someone find out who did this and why? I've been confused by this for like a decade now.
Where like that actually happened, where I was like going back through this book, I was like, oh yeah, that thing that I never got any explanation for.
So I just really like the way.
Yeah, I did just wipe my nose on my hand, like some kind of twirl. It's very hot. I'm sweating out of my nose.
Role-playing game too.
So because you can see that it doesn't. The audio levels are the same, the waveform's the same, but it sounds quieter. So now you've got to do this. You've got to edit clip in Adobe Audition. You've got to do it.
I've been confused.
Oh, actually, that's probably the wrong way of doing it. Hold on. Undo. Reveal in Explorer. Open with Adobe Audition. So here's what we're gonna do.
That ought to.
Oh wait, this isn't that bit. Yeah, that's a bad thing to do. Okay. New plan. I could open this in Audition and then compress it and make it louder and all that stuff, but I could also just normalize it higher than everything else and just let it be louder looking in the timeline, but actually sound better that way.
Smart. I was a big fan of the role-playing game too. I just really liked the way that it dealt with the mythos and had you interact with it, and the way it modeled sanity was...
There, I think that sounds a little bit better. There's a bit here that's a bit quieter than the rest, so I might just manually bring this bit up a bit more.
With it. Just really liked the way that it dealt with the mythos and had you interact with it, and the way it modeled...
I'm actually like pretty happy with
the way it modeled sanity was really good too. And
when in doubt, you make the voiceover louder.
Hang on, can someone find out who did this and why? I've been confused by this for like a decade now.
Yeah, I think that fixes the problem in a very kind of haphazard way, but I'm okay with that. So another thing that people have noticed, and that Shannon also pointed out, because Shannon's really good at clip stretching, is Cthulhu is a little bit stretched all the time in it, which is a bit of a problem, because it's the main film that I use. It's not quite right. What you've got to do is like this is this normal thing, but if you stretch it out to be... But it needs to be a bit wider to really kind of look... Like, that does look better, doesn't it? Like, that definitely... Like, that's doable. But that, like... How did I not notice this at the time, you know? Like, that looks better, and also it now fills the frame. And I guess my DVD rip was messed up, because that happened to all of it. But... that can't be right. It can't just be that the whole time. Why did it look like that? It's terrible. It's anyway. So if I want to alter this size, I have to go in and adjust the size of every use of that clip. And that's annoying. It's not impossible. It's not like the hugest thing, pain in the world, and I might do it when the stream is over because I don't want to waste much time with it. But there is a possible, very easy fix. You see, in Premiere, there is a master clip. Like there's this, and then there's the master one, which is, they don't tell you is there. It's kind of hard to figure out is there. And in this one, if you make an edit, for example, I make it black and white, that change is reflected in every version of that clip. That's an effect that's been added to the base clip, basically. Like before it's even used, everything uses that as the source, uses a version that's black and white now. But that's a solution. So what if we find a transform effect and we increase and we make it wider? What if we make it the right width? I don't know what it should be. 120? No. 100. 132. That looks about right. What if we just did that? What if we just did that? Can we get away with just doing that real quick? Okay, firstly, that looks way better. That's obviously how it was meant to look, and I must have messed up the DVD rip. But the DVD rip that's like on a torrent somewhere that you can steal is smaller than this, and also it also has this problem. So whatever. But I ripped it. It's fine. So there. That might have just fixed it. Now I will have to watch through it again because that adjustment will interact in weird ways with effects. For example, if you do a crop effect on something, the crop interacts weirdly with it. Like if the original source size of the thing is like that and you've stretched it bigger with that effect, crop messes with it in a way that's like confusing to, basically something will be broken now as a result of doing that, but we won't know what or why it ended up like that until it's too late. But
Very loose
for now,
interpretation.
that's really good, and also means I don't have to go in and add, you know, like in the original version, I was like, I've got to have this background and stuff. I can just stretch it out. I was worried about stretching it because then, you know, some pixels are repeated, and I was like, oh, it's incomplete. It's fine. Oh, see, there's a thing. That tween is different now, because it's, you know, it's done that. So I'm gonna go into this, and whenever I scroll, it breaks it again, and really quickly go like there. And now, hopefully, meanwhile, back in Lovecraft.
The shadow over Innsmouth.
There we go, and I just have to move this over a little bit as well. There. Sorted. It's been fat and sorted, mate. Racist, I'm from there. What else? So that has maybe been fixed. I will just have to check when I re-render this that didn't break other things and go through and fix them. 2533, a clip goes on for a bit longer than it should. Let's... Bam, we're already there. Yeah, where are we?
I definitely did not watch that.
Oh yeah.
Del Toro still hasn't got.
Oh yeah. This was Shannon's going, is that what? That's a weird way of doing it. Having the same. She was just pointing out that that's a weird editing technique, and that's fine. I'm gonna just go with that. Something I might change is the text. I feel like this is a bit simple. This is just text. I like doing cool titles where there's a nice background that's maybe moving and the text is interesting looking and there's some smoke or something. So I might change this over, but I also kind of enjoy it being a very honest and just like straightforward piece where just the text is like that. I quite like that, but we'll see. It depends. I enjoy the title of part 3 was just like, was really fucking racist. I like that. that bit. There's other things here where I've got like a quote from Del Toro, which is this bit. This should be that, like that, and this bit. I'm going to also add in. Watch this. Watch me work my magic. I'm gonna. So the first version of this I uploaded, it got copyright claimed. I just showed the clip in full, and it went, nah, you can't do it. It's ours. So that was it. Instead, I'm gonna let that Gaussian blur happen, or Gaussian. I've never actually known what it is. So the thing about this is, I've made cuts. Sometimes it takes a while for Del Toro to get to his next point, or he says something in between, or whatever. I've helped him along by making audio cuts to sort of make his quote come through easier. I even put this ellipsis in because I've moved it around a little bit. What I'm going to do, so I was worried that just blurring it out, the cuts would be there so you could see it, but if I just continue the footage this way, it just carries on, and that's just fine. So you know, it just won't. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna go to like there and use this bit instead, because
it's easy and correct. I think it's excessive.
He gets reused there, doesn't he? So I want to use as little Oscars footage as possible, because I already got hit by that already, so I've got to be careful with it. Escuda says, I really like that you use light text on dark backgrounds. I'm very dyslexic and it makes it much easier for me to read. Yeah, I'm also like that. I need text to be really clear or I'll feel like I'm not doing my job properly, so I try to be as good as possible with that.
And
what I'm going to do is, because I'll be able to get away with it easier. See, that I use my jog wheel to move just one frame over really easily. I'm going to use my rate stretch tool to, actually one sec, bam, there, to make sure that I'm, basically rate stretch means that when you move a thing, instead of it cutting into the next bit of the clip, it just moves the speed of everything and then keeps the same clip going. So this is now a little bit slower.
And correct, to be dubious about the value of winning an Oscar, I do think this...
I think that's a really good cut. That just makes it look good, and it also means they can't detect copyright theft, because it's like there's no crime here. It's moving at a weird speed, so how will they know? How will they know? So there. Can I continue? Can I stretch that just a little bit further without it cutting? There we go. So now it's just, and I know I'm good with this. I got away with this already because it kept that way in. Oh. Have a good night, Nichford. Thank you for hanging out, and also thank you for donating all of that. I hope you catch up with the rest of it on the stream later. Take care. Thank you all for watching, by the way. It's been really nice. I don't know how many people are watching. I've turned off the thing that tells me how many people are because it makes me embarrassed.
See that which is alien to them. There's a philosopher named Julia.
So oh, this was annoying thing. You can see this bit here. You can probably hear the cut, but I've cut it quite well, so it's quite hard to tell.
There's a philosopher.
I accidentally call Julia Kristeva French, when actually she is Bulgarian and has just lived in France most of her life, but she's Bulgarian born. So I was like, I can't say French philosopher because you could just Google that and it's wrong. So I just, instead of re-recording the line, or even recording a version where it's Bulgarian, I just did a really quick cut. So watch, let me.
There's a French philosopher.
Look out, Science. I just upped my donation to $10 a video, and I think this video 100% makes that feel worth it. Well, thank you. Good. It's an hour 45 minutes of just new content. That's more than the video in content. So, I don't know. Hope that's good. Thank you very much, though. I do appreciate that.
There's a philosopher.
So that's one of the many tricks of the trade. Here's an extra trick. When you zoom in all the way in, there is a maximum amount you can zoom in normally on a Premiere timeline, which is frames. You can't zoom in any further than this. And this is the amount you can go. These are the units of time. that you're interacting with. It's going in frames, but sound goes in hertz, which are much, much, much faster than frames. I did change my notes. Well, I'll have to be careful with that then. I'm doing credits readings for the Night in the Woods video, and that's the last time I'm reading credits. I need to alter the patron goals as well, but I'll make sure that I get your name right, because if you've gone to the effort of adding a funny name, I want to make sure I read it out. But this is like, so this, it doesn't sound like much, but that one frame of sound is a bunch of hertz of sound. That's just not just, it's, you know, it's a lot of individual sound moves at an incredibly fast frame rate, effectively. It's not actually called a frame rate, but whatever. So if you want to make an edit to your sound, you're limited to these frames, you know, like, that's it. That's all you've got. But what if you untick? What if you tick show audio time units? Bam! The timeline is now in hertz. Look in that number on the in the sort of middle left. Look at the individual hertz. Look how long it's taking me to say that word. It's incredible, and look how much further you can zoom in. Look at that. Look how much control you have. The fucking waveform. So much power, and then you can make individual cuts to the hertz of the that is how you make yourself, you know, you know, you just get that to line up really well. In Audition you can do this easily, but in Premiere, to get that kind of fineness, you either have to just pray that you sound kind of similar on 2 frames, which is kind of how I got with this, but otherwise you got to go in deeper, and it's really fun doing that. I love doing it. It's just great, just going in like that level of fineness. The day I discovered you can tick a thing and just go in so deep into a sound, it was beautiful. That moment, really. So mess with that. So you can, yeah. Basically, you can control down to the nanosecond. That's right, Anthony Peony. Basically, yes. But it's that is like a video editor's moment, where like the moment in your head where you realize just how much more power you had than you realize is like this big thing. But that's just, you know. So that's how I corrected a very minor mistake that I could have just re-recorded. But that's a fun trick when you re-edit yourself to sound like you're fluidly saying something else. So I've now fixed that copyright claim stuff, which probably will work. What else? Some other comments that I've got about. Oh, Andrew says that's cool as fuck. I'm gonna show that. I'm gonna allow that comment. Nathaniel has pointed some stuff out, and Fabian Hildwine points out that I use a quote from Michel Houellebecq, who is basically also a racist. His Lovecraft quote is in the context of like kind of empathizing with Lovecraft's anti-life stance, and Houellebecq has published a lot of like basically like racist, like anti-Islamic stuff that is shit and I don't support. Basically, he's a very controversial author who also is a fan of Lovecraft. He's a fan of Lovecraft, but for the wrong reasons. And using a quote from him is like a tacit admission that something is messed up. It's tacit admission, like it's almost saying that this Houellebecq guy is really onto something, when actually I think he's off, but that quote specifically is useful. And I need to add some kind of admission that like Houellebecq sucks, and the Lovecraft book kind of fawns over his racism in a way that is shit. But this quote highlights the specific thing of like, he actually thought existence was pointless in a way that fed into his racism, and that's an important thing to bring up, because then I can go, well, I don't know, it's one of those things where like it shows that I bothered to read a biography of Lovecraft to quote it. It makes me look clever, and it's more sort of reading around the material in a way that's hopefully informative. But the quote is unfortunate, in a lot of ways, and comes from someone who I kind of don't want to be quoting. So I could even cut that out. But then also there's less quotes from Dan in there, and it's like, and then also I do reference back to that quote a couple of times in ways that I might have to then also cut out. So I will have to experiment more with that off screen before I publish, because I'm considering taking that quote out if I can find a way around that. So that's something I have to look into. But if not, I think if I add an admission that, like, Houellebecq sucks and empathizes with the bad parts of Lovecraft in ways that I don't agree with, but that quote is useful for elaborating on my own point. I need to add something in like that. And the last thing I want to do before we go, because I've got, here's all the stuff I wanted, like, I've got I made some notes on all the stuff I wanted to show off. Make notes, kids. That's one useful thing to show off. I still haven't figured out a title. I need to figure that out at some point. You can help me if you want. But my big thing is, the big mistake that I made, 1445. It's right here. Here we are. The idea that truth is not the opposite of facts, but actually something more than facts, is key to what makes storytelling so important in the modern world. Art is all lies. So, the idea... Truth is not the opposite of facts. Truth is not the idea that fiction... So I'm gonna rewrite the line. That's one way of writing it. That can be more truthful than mere facts. I think that's a useful... Yeah, why do I have it? But actually something more than facts is key to what makes storytelling so important in the modern world. Okay. So I think like that's a take that changes the... It fixes what is a minor error, but also that fix... I can't just go the idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually more. Like, that's... Fiction is not more than facts. It is... I basically have to rework the line. And I think that's like a good... It's my thesis statement, basically. Said better than I'd initially said it, when I'd clearly typed out what was basically an error and missed it. So, let's record that line. Let's just you know... Here is me making a video. You've now seen me make a whole video, basically. Just this, but for 100 more hours. So, you see that? I made it with my, not with my mouth. Look at that. What? There it is. It's right there. I caught it. That noise. That. You make those noises with your mouth all the time. And I just gotta eradicate them. And it's like I didn't make the noise. That's my whole life now. I obsess over this pointless garbage. I'm sorry. Okay. The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than mere facts. Am I happy with how that reads? The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than facts on their own, is key to what makes storytelling so important in the modern world. I could even say modern world, but just the world even, you know. I could make this a little bit more comedic in a way, I think, you know. The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than the facts on their own, is key to what makes storytelling so important in the world. Okay, I think that kind of, you know, that's kind of it. That's kind of what I was going for. You know, like, it comes off in a funny way where I've kind of tripped into some profound point that's also like a bit like I'm lecturing someone about the cosmic importance of storytelling. Like I think that's I'm laughing at my own joke here. I'm laughing at the idea of a funny thing that I'm then trying to get across. I'm not really laughing at my own jokes. You can't make fun of me for this. So I've done that. Noise cancellation. The idea... effects. No, 3. Maybe no need for in the world. Be so important in the world. Maybe no need for in the world. But in the world is funny. But also, yeah, I could easily do that. Is key to what makes storytelling so important. Yeah, I think it kind of reads more sincere. Like, doing it as a joke is still like... I'm about to lead into something that's like my whole point. It's the point of the video. I can't make a silly by the wayside joke right as I'm like, here's the whole point. I have to be serious here. And this is the thing you're constantly telling yourself. Like, how do I make this point best? Is it, you know, you always want to be funny. You want to have all the jokes, but sometimes it detracts. That's why my videos are so bloody long, because I don't think hard enough about pacing in a way where when I'm sitting here and I have to justify it to you. As soon as Nike of Samothrace says, maybe no need for in the world, it's like, oh yeah, you're right. And I have this whole debate. So yeah. So I should just be earnest about it, I think. We've learned the importance of being earnest today, folks. That's for noise cancelling purposes. Oh god, all those mouth sounds just then. The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than mere facts can allow. This is one of those things where, like, I'm not happy with how I've written it, and I'm trying to fix it on the fly instead of rewriting it. I shouldn't do that. I should just go, you know, I should actually just change it. The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than facts on their own, is key to what makes storytelling so important. Is key to what makes storytelling so important. I think we got it. This is a noise cancelling thing. You just capture a print of what, you know, with what is just there, and then done. Someone just ran a tap upstairs, so I'm glad I got this in before that noise. Oh, here's one problem with normalizing. If you click, the neck goes up like that. But that's also a really good trick, because if you click, then you can normalize based on that. That's it can be good, but it's not. There. The idea that I do like keyboard noises. Okay. The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than facts on their own, is key. It sounds so muddy and weird to me, but that's prior to their own. That's prior to the magic secret sauce, the editing power that we use. So, I'm going to normalize the -1, because then the quiet parts are now louder than they were before, just loudish in a way that kind of is like good. And then we go... That's the one. Vocal in it. What was that noise? I just heard a noise. Did something not fall down? Oh, something fell down, I think. I hope something fell down. I just heard a weird noise and I don't know where it came from. Oh well. So, effects. Compress. Let's compare the sounds. This was the original one. The idea that than facts on their own. It just sounds muddy almost. What's this version? But actually can be more truthful than facts on their own. You can see there's a crispness to it, and the high bits have been made a little bit higher. Like the high end, that bit of a voice, the sibilance, it's just gone up a little bit, and that crispness helps it penetrate all the music that was going to be there. The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than facts on their own, is key to what makes storytelling so important. Here's another, like, one of those mouth sound things. There's a t, and then there's a secondary t. It's like a little thing, and that's like nothing, but sometimes you make those noises. On their own is key. that gap, that just sounds a little bit artificial in a way where I kind of wish I'd put a little bit more space in between.
Your own is key to what,
but also like it just sounds artificial. You can hear the cut, and that's this cut here. But I could, if I delete it, it makes it too short. But it might actually make it sound less artificial. Let's check it out.
is key to what.
Nah, it's worse. I'll just leave it in. I'll just keep it the way it is. Retake truth. Oh, here's a look behind the curtain. Peter Coffin wants me to record one of those things where I hit a button and then music plays. But instead of playing music, I just have this sound file play.
Look, Peter, just put whatever music here you want yourself. I'm going through some stuff right now.
I just think that'd be quite a funny thing to put in. He can put whatever music in he wants, but I think it'd be funny to just have that play. Do not save this as lookpeter.wave. Okay, retake underscore truth.wave. Okay. Save. And we're done. Now I have that sound file. I plop it in here, and then we're just going to do the cut as we go. We're just going to... Oh, it actually lines up really well. Look at that. This won't require much work at all. I love not having to do work. So I can now even...
Art is all lies, all perceptions.
Now, this will sound like it was recorded at a different place and time than the last stuff, because it kind of was, but that's fine.
Watch it. The idea that fiction is not...
So, that...
Watch it. The idea...
That transition is in the wrong place.
Watch it. The idea that...
Oh, that was why I did that, though, because it cuts across, yeah.
Watch it.
Here's a trick. You use time... you use the ripple, the stretch tool to change the thing.
Watch it.
There we go. There, so it just transitions better.
The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than facts on their own, is key to what makes storytelling so important. Art is all...
There we go. So that's a little bit louder than this bit. But this bit's actually a little bit quiet. It's -5... No, actually. See, that's -5.9... 5.5. It's just a little bit louder, but it's more intense, so it's actually louder sounding than even it is louder. That's a weird sentence. So if I make this a little bit louder,
lies, all...
I'll make it feel a little bit better. So, just that. And then, oh, I transition here, so this is a good way of doing it. I can just do this. Bam. Oh, not quite. There. So this transition I'm kind of happy with, by the way. This is a adjustment layer that just blurs and brightnesses, and then I have a sound effect going. And that sound effect is what nails it. Like without that, it just looks like a weird... What is that? It's just a weird blur. But that sound just
bringing all
goes. So if we go in this,
bringing all of...
It's cool. It just works. This actually needs to be a bit brighter. So let's... Where is my brightness? Exposure, here we are. So if I go like that, and also I want the blurriness to be a little higher as well. And here's the beautiful thing about frames. Just make each audio clip increasingly louder. That's the risk, is you eventually just keep making it gets louder and louder throughout the piece or whatever, but because like there are two keyframes here, so theoretically the space between those two keyframes should be a transition, like a tween, but because there's one frame, there's no transition, it just cuts. So I can make these interact exactly, I can make these tie into each other exactly how I want them to, without too much fear of the rest of it. So how does that look?
Bringing all of the...
Is that a little bit too bright? I'm worried that's like, I don't want it to hurt people's eyes, I just want it to be a nice transition. So maybe 2, and then what is this? What is the next frame? 58. So maybe 70. There we go.
Bringing.
This is my whole life. I just do this all day. Look at minor transitions. That's fine. I like that. I like how that looks. Maybe a tiny bit less bright. Yeah, you're right.
Bring
there, and then. The music also cuts out in a way I
in
like
service to truth. bringing all of this back, what of Lovecraft? Long and fun, and please go watch it. The idea that fiction is not the opposite of facts, but actually can be more truthful than facts on their own, is key to what makes storytelling so important. Art is all lies, all... That fits in really well. I'm pretty happy with that. So that's life. That's the hardest it gets, is when you have to re-say a line without any editing tricks, like when you remove French from a description, because in French and philosopher tie in so well. When you actually have to re-record a line and put it in something that's already been timed out, that's the hardest bit. But that, usually you don't have to do that too often, because if you made that many mistakes, you might as well retake the whole thing. What else? Oh yeah, Nathaniel in the comments points out that at 1430, I say larger than lifeness, they encapsulate the incredibly important... This is the bit where I would put in the bit where the head goes into the bin, by the way. So if you think it should go, those of you who think it should go in, that's where it'll go in. So the important truth that something about modern American society really does keep turning people into murderers. So, the point has been made here that I can come off here as if I'm basically saying, aha, pre-modern society we were fine and now we're all murderers because of modernity. And that's not what I want to say. Humans have been vicious for all time, but the specific nature of the viciousness has changed, and as a result of all of this stuff. Caption, a stopped clock is right twice a day, I suppose. That's an excellent... I'm going to put that in right now, Mallow. That's genius. I'm going to thank you. Mallow has just co-written the script for this video now. That's with regards to Batman. I'm going to put that in, yeah. I don't know how to spell this now. I just know how to pronounce it. This is the curse of the, like, additions, is you keep writing more and more extra stuff to put in, and then one day you wake up and the video's 10 minutes longer. Oh, Saxon, can I highlight some for this quote? Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Thank you, Mallow. And that's a good way of putting it in there. It's a good middle ground between not using it and using it, but without sort of opening the can of worms that is Michel Houellebecq, which, yeesh, look him up. So thank you, Mallow. I'm gonna put that in the credits now, so I remember. I will fix this later. And also figure out how to spell Houellebecq properly. I don't know your pronouns, I've written there. Let me know if you prefer if you prefer he or she. I'll alter that when you get back to me. I'm glad someone else picked up on Houellebecq sucking, because, like, I was worried. I kind of almost thought I could get away with it. Like, I can use this quote and put Houellebecq back in the box and not have to worry about it. But someone else pointing it out is a weight off my mind, because it means someone has come in and said you can't get away with that, and someone's caught that before it went out, and that's really good. I'm glad someone did that. So thank you to my friend. I think that's Fabian Hildwine. Hildwine? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm afraid not. But thank you, Fabian, for bringing that up, because it's a good point. So,
Now to find the place where the quote went, because I have to now add stuff to it. Here we are, against will, against life. I found this is the thing where I fade into
The character of Lovecraft.
but yeah. Also, the title of the book is like very evocative and very good for like making my point. But so I'm gonna have to keep using it. I also feel like this. Like I was originally gonna have this go from loud music into another loud track that's like dramatic strings, like the Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker theme, where it's like building up, just like that. But instead, and like just smash cut to it and then just go into the next thing. But I may prefer this kind of more low-key, just like it just fades in and out. And again, racist isn't the specific best term for it, and also I'm not actually dealing as much with his racism as I am with his homophobia. Like that's the thing I'm really responding to specifically in this work. But so fucking racist in big text. Like there's a joke, there's like a comedic undertone to it that makes me feel like I can get away with it. And also there's like a stream of consciousness to this essay where each bit, where the title isn't just a title of a chapter, it's not like a chapter heading, it's me having a thought and then the thought happens to be in the chapter heading and then we carry on to the next bit. And in that sort of context, I feel like it works. But no one's really brought that up yet, apart from Cav, who is kind of a friend, so they're willing to like be as critical as they can to help the work. So apart from that, no one's brought that up, so I think I can get away with it. But they won't be happy, but we'll see. In his biography of H.P. Lovecraft, fittingly entitled Again
In Person,
Lovecraft seemingly hated society itself, but he had a deeper and...
There we go. So, I'm going to now read this quote as well. We're going to do the thing. Beck sucks. Wave. Beck kinda sucks, honestly, and idolizes some of Lovecraft's worst qualities in his biography, but this quote is helpful in illustrating... the specifics of Lovecraft's worldview, so I'm gonna use it. A stopped clock is right twice a day, I suppose. That's fine. I think that's fine. Let's go with it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Check it out. Let's see how it sounds. Beck kinda sucks, honestly. Hey Kyle, welcome back. I'm glad you could make it back before I even stopped streaming. I'm really happy. Beck kinda sucks, honestly, and idolizes some of Lovecraft's worst qualities in his biography, but this quote is helpful in illustrating... I just kind of tripped over my own words. There we go. But this quote is... Hold on. Here's a trick. Cut at the end of the breath. There. Now, I can feed this breath sound into this, and it sounds like I took a breath and said it without any real work. But this quote is helpful in illustrating the specifics of Lovecraft's worldview, so I'm going to use it. A stopped clock is right twice a day, I suppose. And it still sounds muddy. Like, you learn to recognize muddiness in audio once you've heard a fixed version with proper dynamics and stuff. That's a really fun thing to discover is, oh, I know how to make this sound good. I don't know the right words for it. Every time I talk to a musician, they're like, what are you talking about? What does sound good mean? What does angelic mean, sound? I'm really hard to work with. Probably shouldn't tell people that. Probably should try and come off as clever, but I can't get away with it at this point. I mean, Beck kinda sucks, honestly, and idolizes some of Lovecraft's worst qualities in his biography, but this quote is helpful. Here, check out that. But you can hear that, you can hear it, you can hear the slapping of the meat. Idolize. Hold on, that's the worst, that's this bit. You can hear it. Now, as I said before, you shouldn't have to bother with that. That's not a real... People aren't going to notice that, but I'm going to take it out because it matters to me, damn it. It matters to me. But this quote is helpful in illustrating the... It sounds beautiful now, you see? Is right. I'm going to use it. A stopped clock is right twice a day, I suppose. Beck. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Beck sucks. Wave. Thank you again, Mallow, for your comment.
Seemingly...
So here's what we're going to do. I'm gonna like make it an actual proper pause. I'm gonna go, bam. I'm gonna actually pause the video and audio to just say that bit. I might even add like a VHS distortion to it. What just happened there? I accidentally did something and it made that happen, and that's weird.
Are they gone?
Oh, that was that bit, yeah. I added in a really long gap there, didn't I? I accidentally deleted that bit. Okay, ignore me. Where am I now? Where am I now? Backstacks.wave. Okay, here we go.
Hwelbeck kinda sucks, honestly, and I
toward individual
to some of Lovecraft.
-4, it's fine. So, I'm going to do my old faithful. I have in my project files folder a thing called reusables, which is just, I've kept all of the things that I use a lot of. So, you know, here's the picture of Kevin and his family. Here's a magnifying glass. I guess I realized I might be using that more often. Here's some 4K smoke. This is, I think this is a video someone did of someone erasing JonTron from a comic and drawing me in, and I just like, that was so cute. I downloaded it from Twitter and I've just kept it. I've forgotten who the artist is as well. Anyway, somewhere in my stock footage folder, I have just like VHS glitch effects. Because of course I do. I also have these blood drips which I've used constantly over the last like 8 years. I used this in like a Family Guy Let's Play. Anyway, gonna plop this in here, and this is like 40 minutes of VHS stuff. So what you want to use is about that much. That's fine. You can speed it up to make make it a bit more over the top. As an effect, but this actually is a good glitchy part of the video, so I don't need to speed it up for it to be effective. So, probably asking, what are you doing? Well, what's all this stuff? Well, I don't want to have to retime any of the music, and also I can make this bit more funny by sort of pausing it. You know, as an aside, Hwelbeck sucks. So we're gonna overlay this, and we're gonna change the blend mode. Where is Kevin in this video? Considering his cost, it seems like a waste to put him in, not to put him in. I haven't put him in a video for a while. I don't like overusing jokes too much. I kind of want to make sure I use it sparingly. So yeah, this is just like there's this slight like VHS-y quality to it that I think adds to this joke. I'm gonna put another one over. That makes it even better. Like, it just kind of like look at the difference. There's that. And there's that. But what if instead I make it normal and just give it a little little soupçon of
Hwelbeck kind.
So, and then if we go like a bit there, bit there. And then I'm going to add a sound effect where it transitions from that to
Hwelbeck
this.
kinda sucks, honestly, and idolizes some of Lovecraft's work.
So there. Live video editing. It's so fun and not a huge pain in the ass to do, and for you to just watch. You know, these streams of me editing are going to be like, each video is going to be like ages long while I make these tiny edits, because that's how long this stuff takes. It takes ages. Bam, done. There. Also, this stuff, like, I don't want this to be too hard to read, so I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Maybe I'm gonna change the color of it as well. Like, does that make it more readable? Like yellow? I think that does. I think it pops out a little bit more. It doesn't have to look too nice. Just has to like fit in a way that I feel works. And now we need a good like clicking sound, like a like the video, like the VHS tape has been paused basically. Like if you can do that, you can create a feel for this scene that kind of adds to it. Otherwise, it's just a pause. Same way with the transition between facts and truth. That sound adds a certain sense of, here's why this transition is happening. It's because the tape has skipped or something, and that's like, that kind of makes things work. I had a really nice like cassette tape clack noise that I recorded once and I've lost that was really good. And now I'm gonna make a new sound effect, but I don't know what I'm gonna make it with or with what. I'm gonna use my car keys. I'm gonna make a clacking sound effect real quick. There. Easy. And that's how you do. That's how you do Foley, everyone. Capture, noise, print, do all this shit. Now that kind of sounds not great, but what if we add some reverb? Reverb. That's a kind of interesting sound. So what is what's default? Okay, that's a good sound. I like that. I like that second one. This is what a lot of editing is. Just listen to different presets. I think that's the boy for us. Apply. Let's turn it up again a little bit. I'm not that happy with it. I kind of want it to just, I don't know, something like the pitch. Like there's just a certain, I'm looking for such a specific sound to it that I can't even describe it. I'll just know it when I hear it. Distortion. Maximum pain. Oh god, everyone brace yourselves. This could be really awful. That was like a scary noise. What is that? Look what that did to the sound. Okay, let's turn that down and see what it becomes. What the fuck was that? I'm sorry for subjecting that sound to you. That was horrible. I didn't mean for that. That's good. Tape drive. There. I'm glad I told everyone to brace themselves. That sound was like evil. That's like a sound from Five Nights at Freddy's or something. Or from Mulholland Drive. That one bit. You know the bit. What if we just compress? Nah, it's not good. Normalized to -1. That's fine. I'm approaching happy with this. I'd kind of just undistorted it, didn't I? But I want to go one last reverb. One last. This is now too much. I apologize for all these noises. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Click. Click.wave. This is what happens when you have a beautiful exact sound effect of a cassette tape that, you know, when you go, it's like the put, and like when you can't get it, when you don't know where that sound is, you just. Does anyone have a tape recorder that they can quickly hit pause on while recording to give me? Where did I put click? I forgot where I put it. I already forgot. Oh, it's cool. How is? Oh! I put it in the wrong. I'm in the wrong folder on my thing. Click.wave. Here we go. So. finding a tape deck now. Aww. That is nice of you. It's just like, it doesn't quite have the, like, the reverberation you want it to have. I could find a sound effect online and steal it, but I don't like doing that. I have done that, and I do that quite often still, but I don't want to do it too much, you know, it just feels... it's just... There's such a specific kathunk noise, but I don't know how to make it... Hold on a second. I'm gonna open my DVD player drive and then I'm gonna make some sound effects with this. I'm gonna fix this. It has to sound good. This is the last big change I'm gonna do before I end the stream, so I might as well make it worthwhile, you know. Sorry. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. We got it. Click 2.wave is go. I'm even going to properly source this. When you just drag a sound file into the timeline, it just randomly throws it in a bin, I think in just like the main folder, so it's just there. This is awful file sorting, but it's just me working with it, and the video is basically done, so I don't have to worry too much. So if I put click, where are you, Lovecraft VO, click 2.wave in the bin. That's such a good sound for this, it's perfect. I could even like have it start like there. Hwelbeck kinda sucks, honestly. Here's another thing we can do. A quick. Here's the beauty of compression, because these bits are really quiet, like that bit, but this bit's loud. So what if we just go like, bam. That's like better, isn't it? But does that compress everything? Yeah, that compressed everything. Oh well. So I should also turn that up quite a bit. Maybe there. And then there. I like that. Hwelbeck kinda sucked. There we go. And then that last tap. There. There. Done. Don't have to do any music rearranging, and it's just a nice transition. And then partway through, make these go away. Hwelbeck kinda sucks, honestly, and idolizes some of Lovecraft's worst qualities in his biography, but this quote is helpful in illustrating the specifics of Lovecraft's worldview, so I'm gonna use it. A stopped clock is right twice a day, I suppose. Lovecraft seemingly hated society. That's great, you know, that just works really well. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, quick, just because I'm a stickler, let's quickly make an adjustment layer and put it here. And in this adjustment layer, I'm going to go what am I doing? I've got a folder for this. The Metri color. This is just a really good color correction thing, and I can quickly go into the curves and like make the whole thing darker or brighter. That's probably bad for people's eyes. But what if I just make it a little bit brighter, but then also maybe actually darker. Darker. and then desaturate it a little bit. Where's the saturation? Where'd you go? Where'd you go, baby? There you go. Okay, now 50. There. So then it's just like, it's desaturated a little bit.
Hwelbeck kind
Done. And then as the transition happens,
Lovecraft
beautiful. I'm really happy with that. There. So that's a change. And I'm really glad we covered the Hwelbeck thing in a way that fits. And that's just really nice. Thank you for the suggestions to make all this work, and thank you for offering to find a tape deck, Nike. It might not be, you might not have meant it, but I believe it. Really does keep. Acoustic stuff. 1955, black and Jewish people. That's a line that's coming up, I believe.
seemingly hated society itself, but he had a deeper and specific dislike for black people and Jews. It's so prevalent in his...
So, I can retake that right now. It's easier than, you know, I'm just... Ah, no, don't. I need that. I need that file. I already used that. If I edit that now, it'll delete that bit. Close. Okay. Safe. Safeu. I stretched out the Cthulhu clips, voiceover, linguistic stuff. Really does keep turning people into murderers.
But he had a deeper and specific dislike for Lovecraft seemingly hated society itself.
I might as well retake all of that, because otherwise it'll sound too much like it's cutting in, and the takes will be different sounding enough in quality that, like, because they're taking different environments slightly because of changes in, you know, the exactness of the mic position and stuff. It would be obvious, so it'd be easier if I just record all of that bit again. So
but he had a deeper and specific dislike.
yeah, that's fine. And along with immigrants. Something I do is whenever I'm writing a line is I go to the bathroom, and then while I'm having a waz, I go, oh, that's a good line, and then I forget to write it down because I'm in the bathroom, and then I come out and I forgot the line. So basically I write all my best lines on the toilet and then I forget them all, and that's why my videos suck. Lovecraft seemingly hated society itself, but he had a deeper and specific dislike for black and Jewish people, along with immigrants. Does that sound good? Does that sound all right? Like, is that a good way of phrasing that? I don't know. Normally I would go, it's fine, and go with it, but it's an important thing, and I'm here now in a place where people can interrogate it as I make it, so we might as well hash it out. Like, does that sound okay? I feel like that's an okay way of putting it, but I don't quite... It seems good? Thank you. This is a very complex issue, and I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it sounds fine. Also, there is the specific thing of, like, Lovecraft, in addition to all of his other problems, also had, you know, the same kind of quibbles with immigration that modern conservatives still do. So, you know, bringing that up is important, I think. I could even go deeper into it and go black and Jewish people, along with, you know, the usual conservative dislike of immigrants. Just on top of that, all explicit and concisely, so I think that does that. I think it also means the more I add to it, the more I qualify it, the less impactful it makes it. This is the reason why I'm keeping the word racism in, because calling him a racist, I think, is good. Like, it is better than qualifying it with the specific things, you know. So it's like, but, you know, you can needle yourself into oblivion with this stuff, just continuously finding more things to worry about, and I've got to, at some point you have to kind of let yourself make those mistakes so that it's out there and then learn from it, you know. But that's the fun of doing these things, is I can have people tell me the mistake I'm making immediately, you know, as immediate repercussions for my actions.
Lovecraft seemingly hated
you hear that?
Lovecraft seemingly hated
no one else would notice that but me.
seemingly
I just
seemingly
It's okay. We can fix it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Solved.
Seemingly hated society itself,
I
but
heard that sound as I was making it, and I knew I would be annoyed by it. I'm sorry.
he had a deeper and specific dislike for black and Jewish dislike for black and Jewish people, along with immigrants. Along with immigrants.
I could remove that breath pretty easily.
People along with immigrants.
Damn. Qualify. When I'm naming files, as I'm like making changes like this, I just name it after the last word that popped in my head, so I know what so I can remember the word that way instead of having to come up with a good way of titling it.
But he had
Lovecraft. Also, that take just sounded really nasally and milquetoast anyway, so I'm glad I've found a way to like work around it.
It's so prevalent in his writing.
Now, this is a little bit too loud, I think, compared to the others, because I've been like making it louder and compressing it more than I normally do. So if I make it a little bit quieter, it should fit with the rest of it better.
Like twice a day, I suppose. Lovecraft seemingly hated society itself, but he had a deeper and specific dislike for black and Jewish people, along with immigrants. It's so prevalent.
This was just, I think, a little bit too quiet, maybe. So maybe -2? Let's see how that sounds.
Immigrants. It's so prevalent in his writing that even citing multiple examples would kind of diminish how overwhelming and constant it is. I can't even bring myself to say the name.
You can see, like, as I get more and more into the reading, you can hear that I get more intense as I'm saying it, because the early reading's always slower and less intense. So I don't need to make this bit louder as much because the intensity's up. So, but I might bring it up just a little bit, just a snibble.
I can't even bring myself to say the name.
That sounds good. Kyle Baron says, "Aw, well, I hope I can top the Sherlock video at some point. I don't want that to be the thing on my grave, you know." Nancy says, "Honestly, of all the videos, aw, thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed this video. I'm glad that I occasionally make videos that are good again. And you know, I'm not always going to live in the shadow of the Sherlock video. But well, thank you. And I hope people get to see like, oh, I contributed to that in my video, that sort of thing. So, no, you can't take it back, Kyle. You can't say sorry. All your videos are great now, which is what you said. Look, I'm showing the VOD for this. Look, you can't take it back. You were nice, and that was it. It's too late. Nah, I'm fine. It's fine. Oh, here's the thing. I still need to come up with a better title and mess around the title cards and do the credits. I can do all that before I upload it properly tomorrow. But there's a quick thing when I've got this reading. Oh wow, I went exactly over to it.
I can't stress how bad this film
I really don't.
is on every level. As for H.P. Lovecraft, he must be spinning in his grave because this is
I just wasn't. I'm not too happy with this. Like, is that okay?
Every level. As for
because I could add a just like a nice sort of highlighted bit where everything's a little bit darker, so that like a vignette, so you can see the bit that is being read out. I think I might add that in, but that's a lot of busy work that I can just do in my own time, and I'm getting really sweaty, and I need to maybe go to bed. But I've been doing this for nearly 3 hours now, so 2 hours 40 minutes. I feel like I've demonstrated enough of bits of the process and everything else. Oh, there is one last bit. I want to add back in that bit about that bit, this outtake, because this bit I feel like it's funny and it's winding down, so it works.
You don't have to go find a copy of this 10-year-old obscure film if you don't want.
Oh yeah, Lovecraft in Brooklyn is a really good song by the Mountain Goats. Yeah,
it's not perfect.
Yeah. Shannon brought
perfect
it up
by
as
any
well.
means, and lots of the
For same
criticism the
yeah,
film's
while
received
I was
is
working on
valid.
this video.
Even the director's commentary opens by admitting they aren't
Yeah, this is all good.
fully happy with ever Gremlins 2. But it meant
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at my own jokes. That's really embarrassing. Second tonight. Almost. Oh, it's too loud.
film ever, Gremlins 2.
Is that? I think it's a little bit too loud. But it's got to be loud enough that it's funny that it cuts in, but quiet enough that you can hear me say Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2. But it meant
This is already like, I think I already normalized this to as high as it could go. Yeah, normalized is -0.1.
Gremlins 2. But it
There, it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to quickly find a bit of Cthulhu that lines up here. Cthulhu 2008 beta. It's not better, actually. It's bad. Oh, now also now it's all like in the source monitor. It's wrong. It's like stretched out weirdly because it doesn't correct it the same way in the source monitor. I used that bit, but this bit I didn't use. And this is a good bit, so I can you can hear the commentary as well the whole time because that's how it does it.
But it meant something to me and was very important to me in a formative period of my life, and sometimes that's kind of more important than the writing or execution.
Cool. Peak amplitude -9? That's nothing. -6 at least. What's going on here? You could tell this bit almost didn't make the cut because it didn't even balance it properly. So the conclusion basically...
We are all alien to ourselves. So, what if... place in spite of those flaws? In focusing on a person's experiences and treatment for their sexuality, or on a outsider, these works explore the originals and their feelings of otherness.
I was quite happy with this ending. I think everything came
Of
together
literature
well.
exploring this. As I look...
So I wanted to go here, which could be a problem, but we're gonna work it. We're gonna make it work. Cross dissolve, concept power rather.
Why I filmed segments for this video at night.
God, I look like a dingus. Look at my face. What a terrible face. You edit out this bit. And maybe during that bit I should duck the audio a little.
With the film.
There are 85 locations in this movie. Ridiculous.
It's certainly nowhere near as good as the best film ever, Gremlins 2. But it meant something to me and
There we
was
go.
very
It
important
fits.
to me in a formative
It fits really well.
period of my life, and sometimes that's
I like the way it cuts back into
that's kind of
the
more
song as well. That's really good. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
better than Lovecraft did. You don't have to go find a copy of this 10-year-old. But it meant something to me.
Cool, great time. Thank you. I just have to make sure I got this going well, and then there's also the issue of this shot with the bee is like really important to me, and I don't want to cut that off. So instead,
Otherness.
I'm gonna find a better Shape of Water clip and
and find many photographs of his writing and film.
there's a bit where this gets darker for some reason, so if I just put that in and then
And find any other queer fans of love.
what's going on here? Come on, B. There we go. Got all the B in there now. There we go.
Or execution. As I look out into the internet and find many other queer fans of Lovecraft's work, and writers in some form inspired by these writing, and films taking up radically
I'm really happy with that. That's really nice. I made a good video. Shape of Water. Let's find a clip. Actually, it might lead better into... Nah, it's fine.
As an alien outsider, these works explore the originals and their feelings of otherness better than Lovecraft did.
You don't have to go find a copy. Yeah, I'm gonna find a shot of Cthulhu instead because it's leading into that bit of Cthulhu, so that makes sense more. Yes, I am doing the really half-assed thing where I just sort of cut between. I kind of just cut between. I just kind of skip around until I find a bit that I happen to like. There's a lot of like busy work.
Yeah,
where it's
no,
like,
I like this scene.
Sometimes you run into a.
I wish there actually was more of it. I think originally in the script we had him coming back to the life.
Oh, I love this bit in the film where he's like looks up Google, you know, Dagon cult. This film's really good, by the way. Well, it's quite good. It's good. I'm just enjoying watching the film now. Track it down if you can. It's worth it. It's a decent movie. I finally decided.
These works explore the originals and their feelings of otherness. Explore the originals and their feelings of otherness better than Lovecraft did.
You don't have to go find a copy of this 10-year-old obscure film if you don't want to. It's not perfect. Something funny with the aspect ratio with Cthulhu. There was, yes, but I might have fixed it. Let's see. That was, yeah, that. Okay. Is there an in-between point where the aspect ratio looks good? Because this also looks bad now that someone's brought it up. What do I do? Oh god. What do I do? Oh. I think someone's awake. Yeah, 125? Meh. Is that better? There are infinite ways you can look at this face, and each one is slightly... I feel like that's a good balance. I feel like that works.
These works explore the originals and their feelings and their
there, so if that goes there. So let me just cut there. As well, I looked at myself, yeah.
The originals and or on a legend one scene as an alien outsider. These works explore the originals and their feelings of otherness better than Lovecraft did.
You don't have to go find a copy of this 10-year-old obscure film if you don't want to. It's not perfect by any means, and lots of the criticism the film's received is valid. Even the director's commentary opens by admitting they aren't fully happy with the film.
There are 85 locations in this movie. Ridiculous.
It's certainly nowhere near as good as the best film ever, Gremlins 2.
But it meant something to me and was very important to me in a formative period of my life, and sometimes that's kind of more important than the writing or execution. As I look out into the internet and find many other
This one has to be made slightly louder again. What's that already? So that's that. Okay, so -4.
But it meant something to me and was very important to me.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. The dinner scene was the one that was the most off, wasn't it? So if we use that as my comparison, that can be how we figure it out. Dinner scene. Dinner scene. Dinner scene. in a scene. By the way, funny part of the film, the top left of the frame, they've specifically positioned a picture of George W. Bush. It cracks me up. It's good. So dinner. Where's the side of the table? That's the one. That's the shot. That's the bit. There we are. This one. Yeah, that is weird looking. That looks terrible. How did I even not notice that? There's that. But then if you do like 130, that's a little too stretched, isn't it? Oh, my brain. I can't tell anymore. I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna let that be it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. It's definitely better. But getting that little extra stretch covers the frame, but I feel like that stretches it a little too much. Let's have a quick look again. Yes, agreed, a little too much. Yeah. But also the pictures... Also, it saves me the most work if I leave that in. Because that means it covers the whole thing. Okay, that's a pivotal shot in the film, so this should be a good way of checking. Oops, 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 that's not how you do it. It's this one. It looks better like that, I think. But then again, I thought that was fine. So maybe just my head is bad. But I'll run some past Shannon, who I think is better at this than me. Oh no, Kyle, you're not being a nitpicker. This is something that happened at the start of the stream that I fixed a little bit, and then we're fixing it more now, so it's fine. It's worth having done because this video will be a part of my life for all time now, so it might as well look good.
Interpretation of Shadow over Innsmouth. In that story, the narrator...
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm going to continue watching this over and over and making changes for another day and then put it out. But I think we've got it. I'll make sure everyone's name's in the credits. I hope the best. Thank you all for watching this all the way through and for, I guess, taking part in this adventure. This is only the second time I've done one of these editing streams, at least as a patron reward. So I'm still figuring out if it's good and if people think it's worth doing and stuff. So please let me know what you think, how it went, and gosh, I'm still just completely flabbergasted that anyone wants to watch me do anything. Like it's I don't know. It's been really lovely seeing that happen. So like seriously, thank you all so much. And yeah, I'm gonna quickly open my stream thing so I can like try and see create a studio. I want to see how many people are watching because I have no idea. I turned off the way of checking. Live streaming. This might break my internet as well. Oh geez, 10 whole people sat through all of this. Wow. Well, I hope it was informative and you got to see some of my process and got to give some useful input. I made that clicking noise. That's a noise I would have edited out in my edits. I think that's all the major stuff. The big thing is I'm still kind of thinking of a title, and I will have to workshop that a bit more, and the aspect ratio and just some other minor things. But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you all so much for your continued patronage, and wow, gosh, I can't wait to do this again. Vico just joined. It's about to finish, but this video will still exist, so you can check it out and hopefully click back and see it. So, everyone have a good night. I'm going to talk to my partner, who might just have woken up. And yeah, I'm really happy with some of these edits we made tonight. And you got to witness me being my most pedantic, and also it's like that good mix between the trials and tribulations of coming up with a video, idea that like works and is good, and it's hard to get that sound right, and also is just me being weird. You know, that's the hard bit of life is how do you know when you're being one or the other? You just don't know. Luckily, I have 10 people telling me what to do. Anyhow, thank you all for watching. It is 1:30 a.m. here. My partner is Australian, so they'll be awake now, so I can do that. Yeah, this is what it takes months, Anthony. It's just constant second guessing yourself. Also, you cancel videos because you're not happy with the way they're going. I spent so long on the Deus Ex video, and I'm just wasn't happy with it. I might do it, finish it eventually. I really like the opening where I make a joke about Gex, but that's not really enough to found, you know, a really long video around. So, yeah. Everyone take care and have a great night. Good transition. I'm happy with that. I love you all.